What if the ninja world's biggest underdog possessed the most overpowered ability in all of anime? Imagine Naruto Uzumaki with Saitama's One Punch strength. Today, we're diving into the ultimate what-if scenario, where the dead last of the Academy becomes an unstoppable force who can end any fight with a single blow. Get ready for the most epic fan fiction concept that completely breaks the Naruto universe.
The morning sun cast long shadows across Konoha's academy training grounds as 8-year-old Naruto Uzumaki stood frozen, staring at the scattered remnants of what should have been a simple clone jutsu. Wisps of smoke cleared to reveal a pale, sickly duplicate sprawled on the ground beside him. Another failure. "That's enough for today, Naruto," Iruka-sensei said, his voice a mixture of disappointment and sympathy. "We'll try again tomorrow." The other students snickered. Naruto's cheeks burned as he forced a wide grin. "Just wait! I'll master this stupid jutsu eventually. Believe it!" But as the classroom emptied and he found himself alone, the smile crumbled. 3 years at the academy, and he couldn't even produce a basic clone. Naruto dragged himself outside, avoiding the usual routes where parents waited to collect their children. The sight of those happy families made his empty apartment feel even colder. Wandering aimlessly through the village outskirts, Naruto found himself approaching one of the lesser-used training grounds. The sounds of intense physical exertion drew him forward, sharp exhalations, the rhythm of feet striking against training posts, and encouraging shouts that echoed through the clearing. "Excellent, Lee! Now 500 more! Yes, Guy-sensei!" Naruto peered through the foliage. A man in a green jumpsuit with a bowl cut stood with his thumb raised, gleaming teeth catching the sunlight. Beside him, a boy not much older than Naruto mirrored his stance perfectly, down to the blindingly bright smile. What caught Naruto's attention wasn't their matching outfits or their bizarre poses, it was their movement. As the boy began a series of kicks against a training post, Naruto noticed something different from the academy students. No hand signs, no chakra manipulation, just raw, physical effort. The post cracked under a particularly powerful kick. "Sorry, Guy-sensei." The boy, Lee, looked mortified. "Never apologize for the fruits of your labor, Lee." Guy placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Your youth and determination have overcome the limitations others placed upon you. That is something to celebrate." Naruto edged closer, stepping on a twig. The snap might as well have been an explosion. "We have a visitor," Guy announced, vanishing and reappearing behind Naruto in an instant. "A young academy student, perhaps?" Naruto yelped, stumbling forward. "How did you move so fast without jutsu?" Guy's eyebrows rose in interest. "Pure physical training, young man. I am Might Guy, Konoha's sublime green beast of prey, and this is my dedicated student, Rock Lee." Lee bowed formally. "It is an honor to meet you." Naruto stared at them in confusion. "Ninjas use ninjutsu and genjutsu. That's what makes them strong." Something changed in Guy's expression, a subtle softening. "Ah, I see Konoha's academy still teaches the conventional wisdom. Tell me, young man, what is your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage, believe it." As the declaration came automatically, though today it felt hollow. "Naruto," Guy said, crouching to meet his eyes. "Do you know why Lee trains as he does?" Naruto shook his head. "Because Lee cannot use ninjutsu or genjutsu at all." Naruto's eyes widened. "What? But then how can he be a ninja?" Lee stepped forward, his expression serious. "I was born without the ability to mold chakra for techniques. The academy teacher said I should give up becoming a ninja." His fist clenched. "But Guy-sensei showed me another path, to become a taijutsu specialist who can stand equal to any ninja through pure physical training and determination." The word struck Naruto like lightning. Someone else who had been told they couldn't succeed, someone else who refused to give up, but more importantly, someone who found another way. "Can." Naruto swallowed hard. "Can you teach me too?" Guy studied him, unnervingly perceptive. "You struggle with ninjutsu at the academy, don't you, Naruto?" Naruto looked at the ground, uncharacteristically quiet. "I can't make a clone to save my life. Everyone says I'm the dead last." "And yet you have not given up on becoming Hokage," Guy observed. "That shows remarkable determination." "Yosh!" Lee pumped his fist. "Guy-sensei, we must help nurture this flame of youth." Guy struck a pose, thumb extended. I agree, Lee. Naruto Uzumaki, I sense within you a spirit similar to Lee's, one that refuses to be constrained by conventional limitations. For the first time that day, Naruto felt a genuine smile forming. So you'll train me? I cannot take you on as a full student while you're still in the academy, Guy cautioned. But I can offer you a training regimen to follow on your own time. The path of physical mastery requires personal dedication above all else. I'll do anything, Naruto declared. Whatever crazy training you give Lee, I can handle it too. Guy and Lee exchanged glances. Very well, Guy said, suddenly serious. But you must promise to follow my instructions exactly and never skip a day. Physical excellence is built through consistency above all else. I promise. Believe it. Guy nodded solemnly. Then I shall create for you the young ninja's path to physical excellence. Beginning tomorrow, you will perform daily 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Naruto's enthusiasm faltered slightly. Every day? Every single day, Guy roared. Rain or shine, sick or well, no matter what, that is the price of true strength. And no using shadow clones once you learn them, Lee added, surprising Naruto with his insight. The body must experience the training directly. I'll do it? Naruto pumped his fist, newfound determination coursing through him. As the sun began to set, Guy detailed the proper form for each exercise, correcting Naruto's stance repeatedly. By the time they finished, Naruto's muscles burned in ways he'd never experienced. This wasn't like running from angry shopkeepers or practicing shuriken throws. This was systematic, targeted exertion. Remember, Naruto, Guy said as they parted ways, genius is nothing before hard work. Lee proves this every day. Perhaps you will too. Walking home, sore but strangely energized, Naruto felt something he rarely experienced: clarity. If he couldn't master ninjutsu, he would become so physically strong that it wouldn't matter. He would become Hokage through a different path. That night, Naruto slept better than he had in months. The first week nearly broke him. By day 3, every muscle screamed in protest. The 10-kilometer run left him collapsed in the grass, lungs burning. Push-ups became an exercise in agony. Twice, he vomited from overexertion, but he didn't quit. Each morning, he rose before dawn. Each night, he crawled into bed, exhausted beyond words. The training ground became his second home, the counting of repetitions a mantra. On day 9, something changed. The pain remained, but Naruto found himself completing the regimen slightly faster. By the end of the first month, he noticed he could run the full distance without stopping to catch his breath. When he reported his progress to Guy and Lee during their weekly check-ins, Guy nodded approvingly. Your body is adapting, just as it should. Now we add resistance training. Naruto's routine expanded to include weighted wristbands and ankle weights. Guy insisted he wear them constantly, even at the academy. The first day Naruto wore them to class, he accidentally broke his desk when he set his arm down too quickly. What was that? Iruka asked, startled by the cracking sound. Nothing. Naruto laughed nervously, trying to hold the broken pieces together. Iruka sighed. Just try to be more careful, Naruto. As the weeks turned to months, Naruto's body began to change. His previously scrawny frame developed lean muscle. His stamina became nearly inexhaustible. Academy physical tests that once challenged him now seemed laughably easy, forcing him to deliberately hold back to avoid drawing attention. 6 months into his training, during a sparring session, Naruto accidentally sent Kiba flying across the training yard with what he thought was a light tap. What the hell, Naruto? Kiba groaned, picking himself up from where he landed against the fence. Since when did you hit like that? Sorry, Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I got lucky, I guess. Iruka watched with narrowed eyes, puzzled by the sudden improvement in Naruto's physical abilities, while his chakra control remained abysmal. The contrast made no sense. After class, he pulled Naruto aside. Is there something you want to tell me about your training, Naruto? Naruto avoided eye contact. Not really, Iruka-sensei. I've just been working hard, that's all. Working hard on what exactly? Your taijutsu has improved dramatically, but you're still failing at basic chakra exercises. I'm just a physical guy, I guess. Naruto laughed nervously. Don't worry, I'll get the clone jutsu eventually. Iruka frowned, but let him go. That evening, Naruto met with Guy and Lee at their usual spot. The intense training session ended with all three sitting beneath a tree, catching their breath. "Guy-sensei," Naruto began hesitantly, "I had a problem today. I hit Kiba too hard in sparring." Guy nodded thoughtfully. "I suspected this might happen. Your strength is developing much faster than most young shinobi. It seems you have a natural affinity for physical training." "But I wasn't even trying to hit hard. I was holding back." "The stronger you become, the more control you must develop," Guy explained. "Power without control is dangerous to others and to yourself." "How do I control it?" "Practice," Lee interjected. "I had the same problem when I first began training with Guy-sensei. You must become intimately aware of exactly how much force your body can generate." Guy stood up. "Lee, bring the practice eggs." Lee produced a basket of eggs from their training supplies. Guy took one and placed it in Naruto's palm. "Close your fingers around this egg, applying the minimum pressure needed to hold it without dropping it, but not enough to break it." Naruto stared at the egg, then slowly curled his fingers. The shell shattered instantly, yolk running between his fingers. "Again," Guy said, handing him another egg. It took 17 eggs before Naruto could hold one without crushing it. "This will be your new daily exercise," Guy declared. "In addition to your physical training, you must practice controlling your strength. Begin with eggs, then move to more fragile objects. A true master can strike with the force of a mountain or the gentleness of a summer breeze, as the situation requires." Naruto nodded solemnly, looking down at the one unbroken egg in his hand. "I understand, Guy-sensei." "Remember, Naruto," Guy's voice grew serious, "with great power comes great responsibility. The strength you're developing isn't meant for showing off or bullying others. It's to protect those precious to you." "I know," Naruto said quietly. "I don't want to hurt anyone by accident." "Yosh!" Lee exclaimed. "The path of self-restraint is truly the most difficult challenge for a taijutsu master. This will be excellent training for your spirit as well as your body." That night, Naruto spent hours practicing with eggs he purchased on the way home. By morning, he could reliably hold one without breaking it, though finer movements still resulted in disaster. As his final year at the academy progressed, Naruto developed a dual existence. In his private training, he pushed his body to greater extremes, increasing his weights, adding additional exercises, and extending his running distance. But in public, he became intensely focused on restraint, on appearing normal, while containing the growing power he could feel thrumming beneath his skin. The graduation exam approached faster than Naruto expected. Despite his physical progress, his chakra control remained problematic. The clone jutsu still eluded him, though for different reasons than before. Now, he found himself overloading the technique with far too much chakra, his energy reserves having grown alongside his physical strength. The night before the exam, Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument, looking out over the village. "I'm going to fail again," he realized aloud. His inability to create a proper clone would keep him from graduating, no matter how physically strong he'd become. But as the stars shimmered overhead, a strange calm settled over him. The past year of training had taught him something important: persistence in the face of failure. If he had to wait another year to become a genin, he would use that time to grow even stronger. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, he recited to himself. Every single day. He slammed his fist into the stone beside him for emphasis, and watched in horror as cracks spiderwebbed across the surface, fragmenting the fourth Hokage's sculpted hair. "Oops," Naruto whispered, quickly looking around to make sure no one had seen. He hurried away from the monument, enough heart pounding with the realization of just how strong he'd become. The next morning, standing before Iruka and Mizuki in the examination room, Naruto knew what would happen before he even formed the hand sign.
Clone Jutsu!
A puff of smoke revealed 3 identical clones, all equally malformed, pale, and useless. "You fail, Naruto," Iruka said, genuine disappointment in his voice. As Naruto left the examination room, head down to hide his mixed feelings, he didn't notice Mizuki's calculating gaze following him. Later that afternoon, as Naruto sat alone on his swing watching the graduated students celebrate with their families, Mizuki approached with his offer, a secret makeup test involving the scroll of sealing. Naruto almost refused. His training with Guy had instilled a deeper respect for proper procedure and hard work. But something about finally becoming a ninja, about not wasting another year, overrode his better judgment. That night, when Naruto opened the forbidden scroll in the forest, the first technique that caught his eye wasn't the shadow clone jutsu. It was a note about advanced chakra control exercises. Something clicked in his mind. With his enormous reserves, perhaps multi-body techniques were the answer to his clone problem. Hours later, when Iruka found him, Naruto had mastered not only the shadow clone jutsu, but had begun experimenting with something else, channeling his physical strength through his clones. The confrontation with Mizuki unfolded differently than it might have a year earlier. When the Chunin revealed Naruto's status as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and attacked Iruka, Naruto didn't freeze in shock and horror. He moved. One moment, Mizuki was preparing to strike a wounded Iruka with his giant shuriken. The next, Naruto stood between them, the shuriken crumpled like tinfoil where he'd caught it with one hand. "If you touch my sensei," Naruto said quietly, "I'll kill you." Mizuki's eyes widened in fear, not at the demonic chakra he'd expected, but at the impossible strength displayed by this academy failure. Shadow clone jutsu! The clearing filled with hundreds of Narutos, each one possessing the same overwhelming physical power as the original. The fight, if it could be called that, ended with a single synchronized punch that left Mizuki embedded in a crater. Iruka stared in disbelief. "Naruto, how did you?" Naruto grinned sheepishly. "I've been training, Iruka-sensei, a lot." "That was more than training," Iruka said, eyeing the Mizuki-shaped depression in the ground. "That was something else entirely." Later, as Iruka presented Naruto with his own forehead protector, making his graduation official, he asked, "Why did you never show this strength before?" Naruto adjusted his new headband proudly. "I was afraid I might hurt someone by accident. I'm still learning to control it." Iruka shook his head in amazement. "Naruto Uzumaki, you might be the most unpredictable ninja I've ever met." "Believe it," Naruto beamed, but inside, a question lingered. How would he balance his growing power with his new life as a genin? The classroom buzzed with excitement as newly graduated genin awaited team assignments. Naruto sat with his forehead protector gleaming, trying to appear normal while secretly performing his egg-holding exercise under the desk. 9 months of training had transformed him physically, though his baggy orange jumpsuit concealed most changes. "Team 7, Iruka announced. "Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno." Naruto perked up, accidentally crushing the egg in his excitement. Yolk dripped between his fingers onto the floor. "And Sasuke Uchiha." The collective reaction was predictable: Sakura's delight, Sasuke's indifference, and Naruto's loud complaint. Yet beneath his performative outrage, Naruto felt genuine concern. How could he hide his strength from teammates he'd see daily? As the other teams left with their Jonin instructors, Team 7 remained waiting for their perpetually late sensei. Naruto, bored and restless, decided to set up his eraser prank. As he placed the chair to reach the door, he misjudged his strength and drove one chair leg straight through the wooden floor. Sakura and Sasuke stared. This chair is really cheap." Naruto laughed nervously, hastily setting up his prank while they were distracted. When Kakashi Hake finally arrived and fell for the simple trap, Naruto's boisterous laughter masked his relief. The Jonin's first impression, "I hate you all," set the tone for their awkward rooftop introduction. "My name is Kakashi Hake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies." After Sakura and Sasuke introduced themselves, Kakashi turned to Naruto. "And finally, the orange one. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, training, and people who acknowledge me. I hate the 3 minutes it takes to cook instant ramen and people who judge others before knowing them. My hobby is comparing different types of ramen, and my dream is to become Hokage, so everyone in the village will have to acknowledge my existence." Kakashi's visible eyes studied him with unexpected intensity. "Interesting. And what kind of training do you enjoy, Naruto?" The question caught Naruto off guard. Physical stuff. Running and exercise." Was all Kakashi said before explaining the real genin test would happen the next day. The bell test began with Kakashi's simple instruction: "Come at me with the intent to kill." Naruto immediately faced a dilemma. His intent to kill would likely level the training ground. When Kakashi prompted him to attack, Naruto launched forward with what he thought was a restrained punch. The Jonin easily sidestepped, but his eye widened slightly as Naruto's fist created a small shockwave that rustled the leaves on nearby trees. "Interesting taijutsu approach," Kakashi commented, "but you're still too slow." Naruto attacked again, this time deliberately telegraphing his movements to give Kakashi ample time to dodge. The real challenge wasn't hitting Kakashi. It was making it look like he was trying while ensuring he didn't accidentally land a devastating blow. When Kakashi trapped him with a simple finger lock, Naruto allowed himself to be caught rather than breaking free with his strength. The subsequent humiliating 1,000 years of death technique sent him flying into the nearby pond. Underwater, Naruto weighed his options. He could easily leap out and continue fighting, but something about Kakashi's test felt off. Why was a Jonin playing with them rather than testing their abilities directly? The answer came to him suddenly. It wasn't about individual strength. It was about teamwork. Emerging from the water, Naruto sought out his teammates. Finding Sakura unconscious from a genjutsu and Sasuke buried neck deep in the ground, he made his decision. Rather than grabbing the bells himself, which he could likely do with his speed, he would rally his team. "Sasuke, we need to work together," Naruto said, easily pulling him from the earth with one hand. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at how effortlessly Naruto extracted him. "I don't need your help, loser. Look, I think this test is about teamwork. One Genin can't beat a Jonin alone." "You clearly can't," Sasuke scoffed. "I almost got a bell. And ended up buried for your trouble," Naruto countered. "Just hear me out." The timer rang before they could resolve their argument. At the memorial stone, Kakashi revealed the true purpose of the test, confirming Naruto's suspicion. When he tied Naruto to the post instead of Sasuke, the worst performer, Naruto accepted the punishment without complaint. What surprised everyone was Sasuke's grudging offer to share his lunch with Naruto. "You figured out the test before I did," he admitted reluctantly. "And you did pull me out of the ground." Sakura joined in, offering her lunch as well. When Kakashi reappeared in a thunderous display, declaring they had passed by prioritizing teammates over rules, Naruto felt genuine joy. For the first time, he had peers who might become friends. As Kakashi untied him, the Jonin paused. "Naruto, how did you pull Sasuke out of the ground so easily? He was buried quite deep." Adrenaline?" Naruto offered weakly. Kakashi's eye crinkled in what might have been a smile. "We'll have to work on your lying skills too." Team 7's first weeks consisted of D-rank missions, catching runaway cats, pulling weeds, and picking up litter. For Naruto, these mundane tasks became exercises in restraint, yanking weeds without uprooting entire gardens, grabbing Tora the cat without crushing the poor creature, collecting garbage without accidentally punching through pavement. During team training sessions, Kakashi observed Naruto with growing curiosity. The boy deliberately held back during taijutsu spars, yet occasionally slipped, moving too quickly or striking too hard when distracted. After one such incident, where Naruto's light tap sent a training dummy flying into the forest, Kakashi kept him after practice. "Naruto, there's something unusual about your physical abilities." Naruto fidgeted nervously. "What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei?" "I mean that you're hiding your true strength," Kakashi said bluntly. "Care to explain why?" The directness caught Naruto off guard. After a moment's hesitation, he decided on partial honesty. "I've been training really hard for about a year now, with weights and stuff. I'm stronger than I look." "With whom?" Kakashi pressed. "Mostly on my own," Naruto hedged. "Sometimes Might Guy gives me tips." Kakashi's eye widened slightly. "Guy, that explains some things, but not everything I've observed." "What do you mean?" "The level of physical strength you occasionally display goes beyond what even Guy's training regimen should produce in someone your age," Kakashi said. "Is it the Nine Tails?" Naruto shook his head. "No, at least I don't think so. I just follow my training routine exactly, every single day, no matter what. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run." Kakashi stared at him. "That's it? That's your secret training?" "Well, I've increased the number since I started, and added weights," Naruto admitted. "But yeah, that's the core of it. And this produced your current level of strength? Kakashi sounded skeptical. Naruto shrugged. I guess I'm just good at physical stuff. Kakashi studied him silently for a long moment. Naruto, whatever the source of your abilities, you need to be honest with your team eventually. Hiding your true capabilities could endanger missions. I know, Naruto said quietly, but I'm afraid they'll treat me differently, or that I'll hurt them by accident. Control comes with practice and honesty, Kakashi advised. For now, I'll respect your privacy, but I expect you to demonstrate your real abilities during serious missions. Understood? Naruto nodded, relieved yet apprehensive. The C-rank mission to Wave Country began routinely enough. As they escorted Tazuna, Naruto maintained his facade of normal Genin abilities. When the Demon Brothers attacked, he allowed Sasuke to shine while pretending to freeze in fear, a performance that earned him mockery but preserved his secret. Everything changed when they encountered Zabuza Momochi. The demon of the hidden mist's killing intent washed over Team 7 like a physical wave. Sasuke trembled, near paralyzed by fear. Sakura stood protectively before their client, kunai shaking in her grip. Even Kakashi tensed, revealing his Sharingan eye. But Naruto felt strangely calm. After months of controlling devastating physical power, mere killing intent seemed almost quaint. When Zabuza trapped Kakashi in a water prison and sent a water clone to eliminate the Genin, Naruto faced a critical decision. Run! Kakashi ordered from his liquid prison. His water clone can't go far from his real body. Take Tazuna and escape! Sasuke charged forward instead, only to be batted aside by Zabuza's clone. As the missing nin advanced on his fallen teammate, Naruto's careful restraint crumbled. One moment, Zabuza's clone was raising its massive sword above Sasuke. The next, Naruto stood between them, the sword's edge caught between his thumb and forefinger. What? The clone had time for only that single word before Naruto flicked his wrist, shattering the water construct into droplets that rained down around them. Everyone froze, Kakashi in his prison, Zabuza holding the jutsu, Sakura and Tazuna staring open-mouthed, and Sasuke looking up from the ground with shock written across his face. Sorry, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said quietly. I couldn't hold back anymore. Before anyone could respond, Naruto vanished in a burst of speed that left a small crater where he'd stood. He reappeared beside the real Zabuza, his movement so swift that not even the Jonin's trained reflexes could respond. With a casual tap on Zabuza's arm, Naruto sent the missing nin flying backward into the trees, freeing Kakashi from the water prison. Zabuza crashed through 3 trunks before embedding in a 4th, his eyes wide with disbelief. He attempted to stand, only to collapse as pain registered. His arm hung limply, shattered by Naruto's tap. What are you? Zabuza gasped. Naruto scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Just a genin who trains really hard. Kakashi approached cautiously, eyeing his student with new wariness. Naruto, I think it's time you explained exactly what training really hard means in your case. Before Naruto could answer, Senbon needle struck Zabuza's neck, apparently killing him. Haku, disguised as a hunter nine, appeared to claim the body, thanking Team 7 for their assistance before vanishing with Zabuza's corpse. The aftermath was uncomfortable silence as they continued toward Tazuna's home. Sakura kept glancing nervously at Naruto. Sasuke's expression had hardened into something between jealousy and suspicion. Kakashi maintained a thoughtful silence. That evening, after settling into Tazuna's house, Kakashi confronted Naruto privately. That wasn't just guys training, was it? He asked quietly. Naruto sighed, shoulders slumping. No, I don't really understand it myself. I just followed the training routine every day without fail, and suddenly I was like this. How strong are you exactly? Naruto looked away. I don't know my limits. I've been afraid to find out. Why hide it? Most shinobi would flaunt such power. At first, I was worried about hurting people accidentally, Naruto explained. Then I realized something. Being acknowledged for power you didn't really earn doesn't mean anything. Didn't earn? Kakashi raised an eyebrow. You said you train daily. Yeah, but lots of people train harder than me and don't get these results, Naruto said. It's like I hit some weird jackpot. It doesn't feel fair. Kakashi considered this. Fair or not, your abilities are now known to your teammates. You'll need to address that. When Naruto joined Sasuke and Sakura for dinner, the tension was palpable. Finally, Sakura broke the silence. Were you ever going to tell us? She demanded. I was trying to figure out how, Naruto admitted. It's not exactly easy to say, hey, by the way, I can punch through mountains now. Can you really? Tazuna's grandson, Inari, asked with sudden interest. I haven't tried, Naruto said, but probably. How? Sasuke's question was sharp, demanding. How did you get this strong? Naruto explained his training regimen, earning incredulous stares. That's impossible, Sasuke declared. No training routine that simple could produce those results. I know it sounds crazy, Naruto agreed, but that's all I did, every day, without exception. Then why can't anyone else do it? Sasuke challenged. I don't know, Naruto admitted. Maybe it's because I have huge chakra reserves, or the Nine Tails, or just dumb luck. The mention of the Nine Tails silenced the room. You know about that? Kakashi asked carefully. Mizuki told me the night I stole the scroll, Naruto explained. But this isn't the fox's power. It feels different. It's just physical strength, not chakra. Kakashi nodded slowly. Based on what I observed, I agree. This doesn't resemble Jinchuriki abilities. So what now? Sakura asked. Our team dynamic is completely different if Naruto is whatever he is. We adapt, Kakashi said simply. Naruto, from now on, no more hiding your capabilities during missions, but you'll need to learn control so you can work effectively with your teammates. Sasuke stood abruptly. I'm going to train, he announced, walking out. Naruto's face fell. The acknowledgement he'd always wanted now felt hollow, tainted by Sasuke's obvious resentment. The next morning, Kakashi announced that Zabuza was likely still alive and would return in approximately 1 week. Training would fill their time until then. While Sasuke and Sakura practiced tree walking, Kakashi took Naruto aside. You need specialized training, he explained, leading Naruto deep into the forest. Your challenge isn't chakra control, it's physical restraint. They stopped in a clearing filled with various objects, eggs, paper cups filled with water, thin sheets of glass, and delicate origami. Today, you'll learn to function in a world made of eggshells, Kakashi said. Every movement must be precisely calculated, every action measured exactly. The training was frustrating. Naruto crushed eggs, spilled water, shattered glass, and crumpled paper figures. But gradually, hour by hour, his control improved. By sunset, he could pick up an egg without breaking it every time. A small victory that felt monumental. When they returned to Tazuna's house, they found Sasuke still absent, having trained well into the night. Sakura approached Naruto hesitantly. Can I ask you something? Naruto nodded. Why do you still want to be Hokage? You could probably just take the hat by force now. The question stunned Naruto. That's not what being Hokage means. It's not about being the strongest. It's about being acknowledged as someone who protects everyone. Sakura studied him thoughtfully. You know, I think I misjudged you, Naruto. The sincere admission warmed Naruto more than any acknowledgement of his strength could have. The week passed quickly. Naruto divided his time between control exercises with Kakashi and helping around the village. The poverty and oppression under Gado's rule affected him deeply, especially after meeting Inari and learning about his stepfather Kaisa's public execution. One afternoon, exhausted from training, Naruto fell asleep in the forest. He woke to find a beautiful person gathering herbs nearby. You'll catch cold sleeping out here, they said gently. Their conversation meandered through topics of precious people and true strength. Only after they departed did Naruto realize he'd been speaking with Zabuza's accomplice, Haku. The revelation troubled him. Haku had seemed kind and genuine, nothing like the cold-blooded shinobi who had killed Zabuza. The disconnect nagged at Naruto as the day of the bridge battle approached. When that day arrived, fog shrouded the incomplete bridge as Team 7, minus Naruto, who had overslept, escorted Tazuna to work. Zabuza and Haku emerged from the mist, ready for their rematch. Sasuke engaged Haku while Kakashi faced Zabuza. Naruto arrived late. Having first saved Inari and his mother from Gado's thugs, he entered Haku's ice mirror dome just as Sasuke collapsed, seemingly dead from multiple Senbon wounds. Something snapped in Naruto. Not rage, but profound disappointment in himself. With his power, he could have prevented this. His hesitation, his fear of revealing his strength, had cost Sasuke's life. Haku, emerging from a mirror, found himself facing a Naruto different from the boisterous boy he'd met in the forest. This Naruto stood perfectly still, his expression calm but resolute. You killed my friend, Naruto stated, his voice even. Such is the way of shinobi, Haku replied sadly. We are merely tools for... Naruto moved. The ice mirrors shattered simultaneously as he passed through them, his speed creating a vacuum that pulled the fragments in his wake. He stopped before Haku, catching the Hunter Nin's wrist mid-attack with gentle precision. I don't want to hurt you, Naruto said quietly, but I won't let you hurt anyone else. Haku stared in disbelief. What are you? Just someone who trained hard, Naruto replied, carefully restraining Haku without injuring him. Someone who's tired of watching precious people get hurt. Then you should kill me, Haku said resignedly. I failed Zabuza-sama. I'm a broken tool now. You're not a tool, Naruto insisted. You're a person, and people can choose different paths. Their conversation was interrupted by a chilling sound from the other end of the bridge, the chirping of Kakashi's lightning blade as he prepared to finish Zabuza. Please, Haku begged suddenly. Kill me now so I can save him. Understanding dawned on Naruto. Without a word, he released Haku. But instead of allowing the sacrifice, Naruto vanished in a burst of speed. What happened next occurred too quickly for most eyes to follow. Kakashi charged forward with his lightning blade. Haku moved to intercept, ready to die for Zabuza, and Naruto appeared between them all, one hand gently deflecting Kakashi's lightning-wreathed arm, the other carefully moving Haku aside. The three shinobi froze in tableau, Kakashi's eyes wide with shock. Wait, Naruto said simply. There's a better way than this. Before anyone could respond, slow applause echoed through the mist. Gato appeared at the end of the bridge with a small army of mercenaries. How touching, the businessman sneered. But I'm afraid I've decided to terminate your employment, Zabuza. Permanently. Naruto looked between Zabuza and Haku, then at Gato's men. You know, I think we're fighting the wrong enemy. Zabuza, freed from Kakashi's waterhounds by the interruption, nodded slowly. For once, brat, we agree. What followed wasn't a battle so much as a demonstration. Naruto allowed Zabuza his dignity by hanging back as the demon of the mist carved through mercenaries to reach Gato. Only when Zabuza faltered, his injuries taking their toll, did Naruto step in, moving Zabuza gently aside and confronting Gato directly. Your business in Wave Country is over, Naruto stated. Gato backed away. Kill him! I'll pay double to whoever brings me his head. The mercenaries charged. Naruto sighed, then clapped his hands together once. The pressure wave sent the entire army flying backward, many losing consciousness as they hit the bridge surface. Gato stared in horror. What are you? I told you already, Naruto replied calmly. I'm just a genin who trains really hard. A single step brought him face to face with Gato. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave Wave Country forever. You're going to write off all debts owed by these people, and you're going to compensate them for everything you've taken. Or what? Gato's fear briefly gave way to defiance. Naruto smiled. It wasn't his usual bright grin, but something quieter and more dangerous. Or I'll show you exactly how hard I've trained. In the aftermath, as villagers celebrated their liberation and Tazuna's bridge neared completion, Team 7 faced an unexpected dilemma: what to do about Zabuza and Haku. Technically, they remained missing Nin. I could kill you both, Kakashi noted casually. Or try to, at least. Zabuza, his wounds treated but still serious, snorted. You could try. Or, Naruto interjected, you could start over. Wave Country needs protection. Why not stay here? The suggestion hung in the air, improbable yet tempting. Konoha would never sanction it, Kakashi pointed out. They don't need to know, Naruto countered. Officially, Zabuza Momochi died on this bridge. Who's to say differently? To everyone's surprise, Zabuza considered it. A life without running, he mused. Protecting something instead of destroying it. Haku's hopeful expression seemed to settle the matter. As Team 7 prepared to depart, the completed bridge behind them, Tazuna posed a final question. What shall we name it? Inari didn't hesitate. The Great Naruto Bridge. Because he changed everything. Naruto blushed, genuinely embarrassed by the recognition. As they walked away, Sasuke, who had indeed survived and witnessed much of Naruto's display, finally broke his sullen silence. Teach me. Naruto blinked in surprise. Teach you what? Your training routine, Sasuke clarified. I want to try it. Naruto beamed. Sure, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Every single day. Sasuke nodded grimly, accepting the challenge. Kakashi and Sakura exchanged glances. Their team had fundamentally changed, but perhaps for the better. 2 months after returning from Wave Country, Team 7's dynamic had shifted dramatically. Naruto no longer hid his physical capabilities, though he continued practicing restraint. Sasuke had incorporated elements of Naruto's training regimen into his own, driving himself to exhaustion daily. Sakura, inspired by her teammates' dedication, requested specialized training from Kakashi to find her own strengths. Kakashi observed these changes with cautious optimism. The revelation of Naruto's abilities could have fractured the team permanently. Instead, it had catalyzed growth in unexpected ways. When Kakashi nominated them for the Chunin exams, it came with a warning. "Naruto," he said during a private moment, "you'll need to be extremely careful during the exams. Your abilities could attract unwanted attention from very dangerous people." "You mean I should hide my strength again?" Naruto asked, dismayed. "No," Kakashi clarified, "but use it judiciously. Think of the exams as an exercise in restraint rather than power." Naruto considered this. "So, it's not about showing off what I can do, but proving I know when and how to use it?" Kakashi eye-smiled. "Precisely. That's what makes a Chunin, judgment, not just strength." On the day the exams began, Team 7 encountered other participants outside the academy. When Rock Lee challenged Sasuke to a fight, Naruto watched with interest, curious how his teammate would fare against Guy's student. Sasuke's defeat was swift and decisive. Lee's superior taijutsu overwhelmed even the Sharingan, demonstrating the gap between dedicated training and natural talent. "Naruto," Lee acknowledged afterward with a bow, "Guy-sensei speaks highly of your progress." "Thanks, bushy brows," Naruto grinned. "How about a spar sometime? I'd like to see how I measure up now." Lee's eyes widened with excitement. "Yosh! I would be honored to test myself against your flames of youth." As they entered the examination room filled with intimidating genin from various villages, Naruto faced his first challenge, the paper test. With his training focused entirely on physical development, academic knowledge remained his weakness. Sitting before the impossible questions, Naruto realized the true purpose: cheating without getting caught. Unfortunately, subtle information gathering wasn't in his skill set. As he agonized over the blank paper, he accidentally snapped his pencil between his fingers, the crack drawing annoyed glances from nearby proctors. When Ibiki Morino revealed the 10th question's true nature, a choice between risking failure or guaranteed safety, Naruto found his voice. "I don't quit, and I don't run," he declared, addressing the entire room. "Even if I stay a genin forever, I'll still become Hokage my own way. That's my ninja way." His speech rallied the remaining candidates, allowing them to pass the first exam. Naruto couldn't help but feel satisfied. He'd contributed through words rather than strength. The second exam in the Forest of Death presented different challenges. As Team 7 discussed their scroll strategy, they were interrupted by the creepy grass ninja, who returned Naruto's drop kunai with an unnervingly long tongue. "Something's wrong with that one," Naruto muttered after they departed. Sakura nodded in agreement. Their chakra feels disturbing. Once inside the forest, Team 7 moved cautiously. When a massive wind technique separated Naruto from his teammates, he found himself facing an enormous snake that swallowed him whole. Inside the snake's stomach, Naruto faced a uniquely disgusting predicament. Acid burned his clothes as digestive muscles contracted around him. "This is just great," he grumbled. "Well, I'm not becoming snake food today." With a controlled expansion of his muscles, Naruto simply burst the snake open from within, showering the forest floor with reptilian remains. Wiping slime from his jumpsuit, he oriented himself and raced toward where he sensed his teammates' chakra. The scene he found was nightmarish. Sasuke and Sakura faced the grass ninja, who had revealed himself as Orochimaru of the Sannin. Sasuke appeared paralyzed by fear, while Sakura struggled to protect him. Orochimaru's neck extended unnaturally, fangs bared as he lunged towards Sasuke's exposed neck. Time seemed to slow for Naruto. In a fraction of a second, he calculated the minimum force needed, the optimal trajectory, and the safest intervention. His hand closed gently around Orochimaru's stretched neck, stopping the Sannin's attack mere centimeters from Sasuke. "Sorry," Naruto said conversationally, "but I can't let you bite my teammate." Orochimaru's yellow eyes widened in genuine surprise, an expression rarely seen on the legendary shinobi's face. Interesting. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki has some unusual abilities. With a casual flick, Naruto sent Orochimaru flying through several trees. The Sannin twisted in midair, landing gracefully despite the force of the throw. Most intriguing, Orochimaru hissed, his skin cracking to reveal his true face. That wasn't the fox's chakra. What are you, Naruto Uzumaki? I told your disguise already. I just trained really hard. Orochimaru laughed, the sound chilling. No training regimen produces such results. Perhaps you're an even more interesting specimen than Sasuke-kun. The Sannin attacked with terrifying speed, his sword Kusanagi extending from his mouth. Naruto caught the legendary blade between two fingers, surprising even himself with the precision of the movement. You know, Naruto said, I've been practicing controlling my strength for months now. Want to see? Before Orochimaru could respond, Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed, reappearing behind the Sannin. With exactingly calculated force, he chopped at Orochimaru's neck. Not enough to decapitate, but sufficient to stun. Orochimaru's body collapsed into mud. Earth clone, Sakura identified, her voice shaking. The real Orochimaru emerged from the ground behind Sasuke, moving with impossible speed. This time, his fangs found their mark, embedding in Sasuke's neck before Naruto could intervene. Consider this a parting gift, Orochimaru told the screaming Uchiha. And Naruto-kun, we'll meet again. I simply must understand what makes you tick. The Sannin melted into the tree as Sasuke collapsed, clutching the cursed seal on his neck. We need shelter, Sakura said urgently. Sasuke-kun is burning up. Naruto nodded, carefully lifting his teammate. I know just the place. Using his incredible speed, Naruto transported both teammates to a hollow beneath a massive tree root. As Sakura tended to Sasuke's fever, she glanced at Naruto. You could have killed Orochimaru, couldn't you? Naruto's expression grew serious. I don't know, he's one of the Sannin. But I might have been able to hurt him badly if I hadn't held back. Then why did you? Because I was afraid, Naruto admitted. Not of him, but of what might happen if I really cut loose. The forest you guys nearby, I couldn't risk it. Sakura nodded slowly, understanding the burden Naruto carried. Get some rest. I'll take first watch. Naruto shook his head. I don't need much sleep anymore. Another weird side effect of my training. You rest. I'll keep us safe. The night passed tensely. When dawn broke, they faced a new challenge. The Sound Ninja team hunting for Sasuke. Naruto recognized an opportunity for Sakura to prove herself and held back, intervening only when absolutely necessary. When Sasuke finally awoke, dark marks spreading across his skin as the cursed seal activated, Naruto watched with concern. The malevolent chakra pouring from his teammate felt disturbingly familiar, reminiscent of the Nine-Tails, energy Naruto sometimes sensed within himself. As Sasuke prepared to break the Sound Ninja's arms, Naruto stepped in, gently restraining his teammate. That's enough, Sasuke, he said quietly. They're beaten. Don't let whatever that snake guy did to you change who you are. Sasuke struggled against Naruto's grip, then gradually relaxed as the marks receded. Let go, loser. I'm fine now. With both scrolls in their possession, Team 7 headed for the central tower. Along the way, they encountered Teams 8 and 10 struggling against a group of Rain Ninja. To everyone's surprise, Naruto handed Sakura his scroll. You guys go ahead, he said. I'll help them and catch up. We're supposed to stay together, Sakura protested. Trust me, Naruto grinned. I'll be right behind you. After his teammates reluctantly continued, Naruto turned to the skirmish. Within seconds, the Rain Ninja found themselves embedded in tree trunks, their scrolls confiscated. You guys okay? Naruto asked Teams 8 and 10 casually. Kiba stared at him. What the hell was that? Since when are you this fast? Long story, Naruto shrugged. Here, these guys had both scrolls. Now you each have a complete set. As he handed over the scrolls, Shikamaru studied him with newfound interest. Troublesome. You've been hiding your abilities all this time, haven't you? Kind of, Naruto admitted. But I'm not hiding anymore. True to his word, Naruto caught up with his teammates before they reached the tower, having ensured the other Konoha teams would also qualify for the next round. The preliminary matches began immediately due to the unexpectedly high number of remaining participants. As names flashed across the electronic board, Naruto found himself matched against Kiba Inuzuka. Lucky me, Kiba grinned confidently. I get the dead last. Naruto stepped into the arena, smiling. You might want to update your information, Kiba. When Hayate signaled the start of the match, Kiba and Akamaru charged forward with their fang-over-fang technique. Naruto simply stood still, waiting until the last possible moment before sidestepping with minimal movement. The attack missed by millimeters. What the? Kiba skidded to a halt, confusion evident. My turn, Naruto said cheerfully. He flicked Kiba's forehead protector with one finger, just enough force to send the Inuzuka sliding backward into the wall, dazed but unhurt. The entire arena fell silent. Maybe I should forfeit, Kiba said weakly as he struggled to his feet. Don't, Naruto encouraged. Let's have a real match. I promise to use only normal human strength, no enhanced speed or power. Intrigued, Kiba agreed. What followed was a surprisingly technical taijutsu match, where Naruto deliberately limited himself to academy-level physical capabilities. The handicap created a competitive fight that showcased both ninjas' tactical thinking rather than raw power. In the end, Naruto won through superior strategy rather than overwhelming force, fighting to draw out Kiba's ultimate technique, then countering with precise timing. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, Hayate announced. As Naruto helped Kiba up, the Inuzuka shook his head in amazement. You could have ended that in 1 second. Why didn't you? Because becoming Chunin isn't about who's strongest, Naruto replied, remembering Kakashi's advice. It's about making the right decisions. From the balcony, several jonin exchanged thoughtful glances. The subsequent matches unfolded dramatically. Sasuke defeated his opponent despite the cursed seal's interference. Sakura and Ino fought to a double knockout. When Hinata faced Neji, Naruto's encouragement from the stands helped her stand up to her cousin's psychological warfare, though she ultimately lost the physical battle. Lee's match against Gaara proved particularly troubling. Despite opening multiple inner gates, Lee couldn't penetrate Gaara's ultimate defense. When Gaara attempted to crush Lee's arm and leg after the match was called, Naruto moved without thinking. One moment, sand encircled Lee's limbs. The next, Naruto stood between them, the sand harmlessly displaced by his arrival. The match is over, Naruto said, meeting Gaara's cold eyes. He fought honorably. There's no need for permanent damage. Mother wants his blood, Gaara replied tonelessly. She wants yours too now. You are like me. The sand retreated as Guy appeared beside his student. Naruto stared at Gaara, recognizing the familiar loneliness in those empty eyes and something more sinister lurking beneath. Another Jinchuriki, Naruto realized, but completely consumed by his tailed beast. For the final exam, Naruto drew Neji Hyuga as his opponent. The month-long training period before the finals presented new challenges. Jiraiya of the Sannin appeared, offering to train Naruto after witnessing his unusual abilities. Kid, I've never seen anything like what you do, the Toad Sage admitted. It's not the Nine-Tails chakra. It's like you've broken through some kind of natural limit. So you'll help me learn to use it better? Naruto asked hopefully. Jiraiya shook his head. I'm more interested in teaching you to use what you've neglected, ninjutsu and the fox's chakra. Physical strength alone won't solve every problem. Over the month, Naruto divided his training. Mornings went to his usual physical regimen, now increased to 200 of each exercise and 20 kilometers of running. Afternoons belonged to Jiraiya's instruction on chakra control, summoning techniques, and accessing the Nine-Tails power. To Naruto's surprise, the fox's chakra proved difficult to harness. During a particularly frustrating session, he found himself standing before the massive gate within his mindscape. So my jailer finally visits, the Nine-Tails growled. What do you want, brat? I'm trying to use your chakra, Naruto explained bluntly. But it's not working right. The fox laughed, the sound reverberating through the sewer-like space. Because your pathetic body has changed. Your cells have transformed through that ridiculous training, making them resistant even to my power. Naruto blinked in surprise. So my training actually changed me physically? Like at a cellular level? Obviously, the fox sneered. No human achieves such strength otherwise. Whatever you did broke through your natural limitations. My chakra now struggles to affect your transformed physiology. Is that bad? The Nine-Tails' massive eyes narrowed. It's unprecedented, neither good nor bad, simply different. But know this, brat. Physical strength alone won't defeat every enemy. Some battles require power beyond muscle. With this cryptic warning, Naruto was ejected from his mindscape. He related the conversation to Jiraiya, who looked troubled. The fox might actually be right, the Sanin admitted. Your physical transformation seems to have altered your chakra pathways. This might limit certain techniques, but enhance others. They spent the remaining weeks developing techniques that complemented Naruto's unique condition. Rather than forcing the nine-tailed chakra, they focused on precision chakra control that utilized Naruto's enormous reserves without relying on raw output. When the day of the finals arrived, Konoha Stadium was packed with spectators eager to witness the promising matches. Naruto, dressed in a new outfit more suitable for combat than his orange jumpsuit, faced Neji in the arena. Fate has determined your defeat, Neji declared confidently. Even with your unusual strength, you cannot overcome destiny. Naruto tilted his head thoughtfully. You know, I've been thinking about what to do in this match. I could end it in an instant, but that wouldn't help either of us grow. You speak as if victory is assured, Neji scoffed. It is, Naruto stated without arrogance, simply acknowledging reality. But that's not the point, so I've decided on a self-imposed restriction. He removed his forehead protector, tying it around his eyes as a blindfold. I won't use my eyes, and I'll fight at normal human strength, no enhancements. Murmurs ran through the crowd. In the Kage box, the third Hokage leaned forward with interest. You mock me, Neji growled. Not at all, Naruto replied seriously. I respect you enough to make this a real challenge for myself, because a fight should help both people improve. When the match began, Neji attacked ferociously, his gentle fist strikes precise and lethal. To the audience's amazement, the blindfolded Naruto dodged each attack with minimal movement, his head tilting occasionally as if listening to something only he could hear. You rely too much on your eyes, Neji, Naruto commented as he weaved between strikes. I can sense the displacement of air from your movements, hear the subtle shift of your feet on the ground. Impossible, Neji hissed, activating his Byakugan fully. No one can fight like this. When your eyes are taken away, your other senses compensate, Naruto explained. Something I learned while training with weights that left me nearly immobile. I had to develop new ways to perceive the world. As the battle continued, it became less a contest and more a demonstration. Naruto evaded everything Neji threw at him, while landing light, precisely calculated strikes that gradually wore down the Hyuga prodigy. Why? Neji finally demanded, breathing heavily. Why handicap yourself? Why not simply defeat me and be done with it? Naruto paused, head tilted as if considering the question. Because becoming stronger isn't about crushing others, it's about lifting them up. He removed his blindfold, blue eyes serious. You talk about fate and destiny, Neji, but look at me, the dead last, the failure, the boy everyone said would amount to nothing. Through sheer determination and training, I rewrote my destiny. You can too. The words struck deeper than any physical blow. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Neji's face. Your Byakugan sees everything except what limits you, Naruto continued. It's not the Hyuga clan or the branch family seal, it's your belief that you can't change things. Easy for you to say, Neji retorted. You don't bear a mark that controls your fate. Naruto lifted his shirt, revealing the complex seal on his stomach. I understand more than you think, Neji. This seal has marked me since birth, made villagers hate me, isolated me completely. But I refuse to let it define me. The stadium fell silent as many spectators saw the nine-tailed seal for the first time. So, Naruto said, dropping into a fighting stance, shall we finish this properly? You, giving everything you have, and me, respecting you enough to accept your best effort? What followed was a beautiful display of taijutsu mastery. Neji, freed from his fatalistic mindset, fought with renewed purpose. Naruto, still limiting his strength but no longer blindfolded, matched him technique for technique. The end came when Neji attempted his ultimate defense, the rotation. As he spun, creating a dome of chakra, Naruto timed his approach perfectly. The moment the technique began to fade, he slipped through, tapping Neji's forehead protector with 2 fingers. That, Naruto said quietly, could have been a knockout blow, but I think we've both proven our points. Neji stared at him, then slowly nodded. I concede the match. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, the proctor announced. As they left the arena, Neji asked one final question. Your training regimen, what is it? Naruto grinned. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, every single day without exception. Neji raised an eyebrow. That's all? That's all, Naruto confirmed, but the secret is never ever taking a day off, no matter what. After Shikamaru's tactical surrender to Temari and Kankuro's forfeit against Shino, anticipation built for Sasuke's match against Gaara. When Sasuke finally arrived with Kakashi, sporting new techniques clearly influenced by Lee's taijutsu, the crowd roared with approval. The match began intensely, but was interrupted by feathers falling across the stadium, a mass Jinjutsu signaling the start of an invasion. As chaos erupted, Naruto broke free of the illusion easily, his altered physiology resistant to chakra manipulation. "Sakura!" he called, seeing his teammate already dispelling the genjutsu from nearby civilians. "Sasuke went after Gaara. Something's wrong. I think this is all connected to that Orochimaru guy." Around them, Sand and Sound Ninja revealed themselves, attacking Konoha forces. In the Kage box, the third Hokage found himself trapped in a barrier with Orochimaru, who had disguised himself as the Kazekage. "Go after Sasuke," Kakashi ordered, appearing beside them. "I'll handle things here." "But the village," Naruto began, "is defended by many capable shinobi," Kakashi cut him off. "But only you might be strong enough to stop Gaara if he fully transforms." Understanding dawned on Naruto. "He's a Jinchuriki losing control, isn't he?" Kakashi nodded grimly. "Go, Naruto. Take Sakura and Shikamaru with you." As they pursued Sasuke and Gaara into the forest, Naruto felt the weight of restraint lifting. For once, using his full strength might be necessary, might even save lives. The thought was both liberating and terrifying. The forest blurred around them as Naruto, Sakura, and Shikamaru pursued Sasuke and Gaara. A squad of Sound Ninja intercepted them, forcing Shikamaru to stay behind as a decoy, while Naruto and Sakura continued the chase. Pakken, Kakashi summoned Ninken, led them through the dense foliage. "They're moving fast," the small dog reported, "but Gaara's chakra is fluctuating wildly. Something's happening to him." Naruto nodded grimly. "I felt it in the arena. He's like me, but with way less control over his tailed beast." Sakura glanced at him. "You mean he has the 9 tails too? Different beast? Same prison?" Naruto explained. "But I think his seal is weaker, or maybe damaged. His tailed beast seems to influence him directly." As they approached a clearing, they felt an enormous surge of malevolent chakra. Sasuke stood facing a partially transformed Gaara, whose right side had morphed into a monstrous sandy appendage. The curse mark spread across Sasuke's skin as he prepared another Chidori. "Sasuke, wait!" Naruto called, landing beside his teammate. "You don't understand what you're facing." "Stay back, Naruto," Sasuke growled, the curse mark's influence evident in his voice. "This is my fight." Gaara's distorted face twisted into a grin. "Yes, fight me, Uchiha. Prove my existence by dying." Sand erupted around them as Gaara's transformation accelerated. Naruto pushed Sasuke aside as a massive claw crashed down where they'd stood. "This isn't about your pride," Naruto snapped. "He's a Jinchuriki losing control. If his tailed beast fully emerges, the entire forest could be destroyed." Sasuke stared at Naruto, then at the increasingly monstrous Gaara. "Jinchuriki? Like you?" "Yes," Naruto confirmed. "But his seal is failing. We need to stop him before." A column of sand smashed between them, separating the teammates. Gaara, now resembling a miniature tanuki with one human arm remaining, focused on Naruto. "Mother senses you're like me," he growled, his voice overlapping with something deeper and more sinister. "She wants your blood most of all." Naruto turned to Sakura. "Get Sasuke out of here. I need to handle this without worrying about you two." "But Naruto..." "Please, Sakura, trust me." Something in his expression convinced her. She nodded, retrieving the injured Sasuke and retreating to a safer distance. Alone with the transforming Jinchuriki, Naruto took a deep breath. For months, he'd trained to restrain his power, to limit his strength to avoid harming others. Now, facing a genuine threat to his village and friends, he needed to find the right balance, enough force to subdue Gaara without killing him. "Gaara," Naruto called. "I know what it's like to grow up hated because of something sealed inside you, but you don't have to let it control you." "Shut up!" Gaara roared, his transformation accelerating. "You know nothing of my pain, my loneliness." "I know exactly what it's like," Naruto countered, dodging a sand attack with minimal movement, to be seen as a monster instead of a person, to have no one acknowledge your existence except through fear. Gaara hesitated briefly, his human features showing confusion. But I found people who saw me as Naruto, not just the Nine Tails container, Naruto continued. You can find that too, Gaara. Your siblings care about you, even if you can't see it. Lies. Gaara clutched his head in pain. I love only myself. I fight only for myself. The transformation completed in an explosive burst of chakra and sand. Where Gaara had stood now towered the massive form of Shukaku, the one-tailed beast. Atop its head, Gaara performed a technique that allowed him to fall asleep, giving Shukaku full control. I'm free, the Tanuki bellowed joyously. Time to paint the forest red. In the distance, Naruto heard Sakura scream. Turning, he saw her pinned against a tree by a sand hand, slowly being crushed. Sasuke lay nearby, like too injured to help. Time seemed to slow as Naruto faced a critical choice. He could continue trying to reason with Gaara Shukaku, maintaining his careful restraint, or he could unleash his full strength to end the threat immediately. The image of Sakura struggling to breathe decided for him. Naruto moved, not with the careful precision he'd practiced for months, but with the raw, overwhelming power he developed through his relentless training. One moment, he stood on the forest floor. The next, his fist connected with Shukaku's sandy stomach with a force that sent shockwaves through the clearing. Trees bent away from the impact point. The massive Tanuki's body compressed around Naruto's fist before exploding backward, its sandy form temporarily disrupted. The sand hand gripping Sakura dissolved instantly. Shukaku's massive body crashed through the forest, toppling ancient trees as it tumbled for nearly a kilometer before reforming. What was that? The beast roared in confusion. No human has such strength. Naruto stood in the newly created clearing, his expression unusually serious. I'm giving you one chance, Shukaku. Return control to Gaara and retreat into your seal. Otherwise, I'll have to force you. The Tanuki's laughter echoed across the forest. You force me? I am Shukaku, the great sand spirit. The beast inhaled deeply, its stomach swelling. Wind style! Air bullet! A massive compressed air projectile shot toward Naruto. He didn't dodge. Instead, he drew back his fist and punched directly into the oncoming technique. The air bullet imploded, the competing forces creating a vacuum that temporarily silenced the battlefield before a thunderous boom rolled across the forest. Shukaku stared in disbelief. Impossible! Naruto disappeared from the ground, reappearing directly before Gaara's sleeping form atop Shukaku's head. With precise control, he flicked the boy's forehead, just hard enough to wake him without causing injury. Gaara's eyes snapped open as Shukaku wailed in frustration, his consciousness forced back into the seal. The massive sand form began to crumble. As both Jinchuriki fell toward the forest floor, Naruto caught Gaara, landing gently to avoid aggravating their injuries. He set the redhead down carefully on a tree branch. Why? Gaara whispered, his voice hoarse. Why didn't you kill me? Because we're the same, Naruto replied simply. And killing you would be like giving up on myself. Tears formed in Gaara's eyes, perhaps the first he'd shed since childhood. How are you so strong? 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, Naruto recited with a small smile. Every single day without exception, but more importantly, I found precious people to protect. That's what gives me real strength. Temari and Kankuro arrived cautiously, expecting to find their brother in a murderous rage. Instead, they discovered a subdued Gaara listening intently as Naruto spoke about bonds and precious people. Temari, Kankuro, Gaara said softly as his siblings landed nearby. I'm sorry for how I've treated you. The shock on their faces would have been comical under different circumstances. Naruto stood, wincing slightly. Despite his overwhelming physical abilities, the battle had taxed him. The invasion needs to stop, Gaara. Too many people will die needlessly. Gaara nodded weakly. Without me transformed, the sand forces will likely retreat. Our father, the Kazekage, his orders never made sense. Now I understand why. Orochimaru, Naruto realized. He was impersonating your father, wasn't he? It seems the most logical explanation, Temari agreed grimly. We were deceived into this alliance. As the Sand siblings prepared to withdraw, Gaara looked back at Naruto. Uzumaki, Naruto, thank you. Our paths will cross again. Next time as friends, I hope, Naruto smiled. With that brief exchange, one front of the invasion collapsed. But as Naruto carried his injured teammates back toward the village, A terrible realization struck him. While he'd been fighting Gaara, Orochimaru had been facing the third Hokage. The village came into view, smoke rising from several districts. The massive summoning snakes had been repelled, but the damage was extensive. Naruto deposited Sasuke and Sakura with a medical team before racing toward the Hokage Tower, dread building in his chest. He arrived to find Anbu surrounding a large rectangular barrier on the rooftop. Inside, visible but unreachable, the third Hokage faced Orochimaru and what appeared to be the reanimated first and second Hokages. "What's happening?" Naruto demanded of a nearby Anbu. "Lord Third is fighting alone against Orochimaru and his reanimation technique," the masked ninja explained tensely. "We can't penetrate the barrier." Naruto studied the purple energy field. "Maybe I can break through it." "Many have tried," the Anbu cautioned. "It incinerates anything that touches it." Naruto considered this. His durability had increased alongside his strength, but he wasn't fireproof, and rushing in blindly might distract the third at a critical moment. As he watched helplessly, the battle inside the barrier intensified. The third Hokage, despite his advanced age, fought with incredible skill against three formidable opponents. But even Naruto could see he was tiring. When Hiruzen Sarutobi began forming hand signs for a technique Naruto didn't recognize, a profound sadness settled over the old man's features. The spectral form of the death god appeared behind him, visible only to those within the barrier, but somehow sensible to Naruto's enhanced perceptions. "No," Naruto whispered, understanding the Hokage's intention. "He's sacrificing himself." The third seized Orochimaru, attempting to extract his soul as he had done with the reanimated Hokages. But the Sanin's desperate maneuver cost the old man dearly. He managed to seal only Orochimaru's arms before his strength failed. The barrier fell as the Sound Four retreated with their injured master. Anbu rushed forward, but it was too late. The third Hokage lay motionless on the rooftop, a peaceful expression on his face despite the violence of his final battle. Naruto approached slowly, tears streaming down his face. He knelt beside the fallen leader, the man who had shown him kindness when few others would. "I could have saved him," Naruto whispered, his voice breaking. "If I'd been here instead of fighting Gaara." "No, Naruto," Kakashi said gently, appearing beside him. "You were exactly where you needed to be. If Gaara had fully transformed within the village, many more would have died, including civilians. But I could have broken that barrier. I know I could have." "Perhaps," Kakashi acknowledged, but the third made his choice. He died as he lived, protecting his village and the future generations, including you. The following days passed in a blur of grief and reconstruction. At the third's funeral, rain fell as if the heavens themselves mourned the Hokage's passing. Naruto stood silently among his fellow shinobi, haunted by thoughts of what might have been. After the ceremony, Jiraiya found him training with uncharacteristic intensity, pulverizing boulders with single punches. "Destroying the landscape won't bring him back, kid," the Sannin observed. "I know that," Naruto grunted, reducing another boulder to gravel. "But I need to get stronger." "Stronger?" Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. "You're already physically stronger than anyone I've ever seen, including Tsunade in her prime. And that's saying something." "It wasn't enough," Naruto insisted. "If I'd been faster, if I'd made different choices." "Stop," Jiraiya commanded sharply. "This is the shinobi world, Naruto. Death is part of it, even for the strongest among us. The third knew that better than anyone." Naruto finally stopped his destructive training, shoulders slumping. "What's the point of all this strength if I can't protect the people I care about?" Jiraiya sat on a nearby stump, suddenly looking every one of his 50-plus years. The strongest shinobi in history have asked themselves that same question. Power, no matter how vast, has limits. That's the burden of strength, knowing you can't save everyone, but trying anyway. "So what do I do?" Naruto asked quietly. "You honor the third sacrifice by protecting what he gave his life for, the village and its future." Jiraiya stood. "Which brings me to my next point. I'm leaving to find Tsunade. The village needs a new Hokage, and she's the most qualified candidate." "Tsunade? The legendary medical ninja?" Jiraiya nodded. "And the third of the Sannin. I want you to come with me." "Why me?" "Because you might be the only one who can convince her to return," Jiraiya explained. "And because I want to continue your training. Your physical abilities are incredible, but your ninjutsu and chakra control need serious work. Naruto considered this, then nodded slowly. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning, pack for a few weeks' journey. That night, Naruto visited the Hokage monument, standing atop the third stone face. The village below was partially darkened, sections still without power after the invasion. "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me," he whispered to the stone visage. "But I promised to protect what you loved. I'll get stronger, not just physically, but in all the ways that matter." The journey with Jiraiya began the next day. As they traveled, the Sannin focused on expanding Naruto's tactical thinking and ninjutsu repertoire. "Your physical strength is a tremendous asset," Jiraiya explained, "but also a potential weakness. Enemies who learn about it will avoid direct confrontation and attack from a distance with ninjutsu or poison. So I need a more balanced skill set," Naruto reasoned. "Exactly. We'll focus on 3 areas: chakra control techniques that complement your physical abilities, defensive ninjutsu to counter long-range attacks, and strategic thinking to outsmart opponents you can't simply overpower." The training was different from Naruto's physical regimen, more cerebral, requiring patience and focus rather than endurance. Initially, he struggled, preferring the straightforward challenge of physical exertion to the complex manipulation of chakra. "This is pointless," Naruto complained after failing to master a defensive wind technique for the 5th time. "I could just dodge any attack with my speed." "What about attacks targeting your friends?" Jiraiya challenged. "Or area effect techniques that can't be avoided? Or poison gas? There are countless scenarios where pure physical ability isn't enough." The argument struck home. Naruto doubled his efforts, gradually expanding his tactical options beyond direct physical confrontation. Their search led them to a gambling town where Tsunade was rumored to be drowning her sorrows in sake and bad bets. They found her in a dingy bar, accompanied by her assistant Shizune and pet pig Tauntaun. Tsunade's initial reaction to Jiraiya's proposition was predictably negative. "Become Hokage? Are you insane?" she scoffed. "That position is cursed. Only fools take it. Fools like my grandfather, your granduncle, our sensei in the 4th? Jiraiya challenged. "Exactly," Tsunade declared, taking another drink, all dead before their time. Naruto, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up. "So you're a coward." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Tsunade's eyes narrowed dangerously. "What did you just say, brat?" "I said you're a coward," Naruto repeated calmly. "Running from responsibility, drowning yourself in gambling and alcohol, dishonoring the memory of those who believed in you." "You know nothing about me or my losses," Tsunade hissed. "I know the 3rd Hokage just died protecting the village while you were out here feeling sorry for yourself," Naruto retorted. He believed the will of fire continued in the next generation. Clearly, he was wrong about you. Tsunade slammed her glass down, cracking the table. "Outside. Now. I'm going to teach you some respect, you little punk." In the street, Tsunade faced Naruto with cold anger. "One finger. That's all I'll need to put you in your place." Jiraiya watched nervously from the sidelines. "Tsunade, you should know." "Stay out of this, Jiraiya," she snapped. Naruto stood calmly, making no move to defend himself. "Go ahead. Hit me with everything you've got." Tsunade's legendary strength was nothing to dismiss lightly. Her finger flick could shatter boulders and break through steel. When she launched her attack at Naruto's forehead, she expected to send him flying through several buildings. Instead, her finger connected with his unmoving forehead with a dull thud. Naruto didn't budge an inch. Tsunade stared in disbelief. "What the?" "My turn?" Naruto said quietly. He extended his own finger, moving with deliberate slowness to tap her forehead protector. The gentle contact nonetheless contained enough controlled force to slide her backward several meters, her heels digging furrows in the dirt street. "Impossible," Tsunade whispered, touching her forehead. "No one is physically stronger than me." "I told you he was special," Jiraiya commented from the sidelines. "It's just training," Naruto explained with a shrug. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, every single day without exception. Tsunade looked between Naruto and Jiraiya, clearly suspecting some trick. No training regimen produces these results. "That's what everyone says," Naruto nodded. "But here we are." The confrontation evolved into a more civil conversation at a local restaurant. Tsunade's curiosity overcame her initial hostility as she examined Naruto with medical jutsu. "Your cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen," she marveled. "It's as if your body has evolved beyond normal human limitations. Fascinating from a medical perspective." "But what does it mean?" Naruto asked. "It means you've somehow triggered an evolutionary adaptation," Tsunade explained. "Your muscles, bones, and even skin have restructured themselves to accommodate extreme stress. In theory, anyone could achieve this through the right training stimulus, but in practice..." "I got lucky," Naruto finished. "Like I've been saying all along." "Perhaps," Tsunade conceded. "Or perhaps your Uzumaki vitality combined with the Nine-Tails' presence created the perfect conditions for this transformation." Despite her scientific interest, Tsunade remained resistant to the idea of becoming Hokage. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Orochimaru and his assistant Kabuto, offering to restore Tsunade's loved ones in exchange for healing the Sanin's sealed arms. The ensuing conflict revealed Kabuto's true strength as Orochimaru's right-hand man. When he targeted Tsunade's hemophobia by covering himself in blood, Naruto intervened, moving faster than Kabuto could track to place himself between them. "Ah, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki," Kabuto smiled, adjusting his glasses. "Orochimaru-sama has told me about your unusual abilities." "Then you know you should leave while you still can," Naruto replied evenly. Kabuto's smile widened. "Physical strength isn't everything, Naruto-kun. Let me demonstrate." The medic nin moved with surprising speed, his hands glowing with chakra scalpels aimed at Naruto's vital points. Naruto evaded most strikes, but allowed one to land deliberately, curious about its effect. The chakra scalpel passed through his skin, targeting muscles beneath, but found them unusually resistant to the cutting technique. Kabuto's eyes widened in surprise. "Interesting. Your muscular density has increased to the point where my chakra scalpels are less effective." "That's not all that's increased," Naruto replied, catching Kabuto's wrist in a careful grip. "My patience has decreased significantly." With precise control, Naruto applied just enough pressure to fracture Kabuto's wrist without completely crushing it. The medic nun winced but maintained his composure. "Impressive control," he acknowledged. "But as I said, strength isn't everything." Kabuto's free hand flashed to his pouch, withdrawing a vial that he smashed against Naruto's face. Purple gas enveloped his head, a fast-acting neurotoxin. "Naruto!" Jiraiya called in alarm. To everyone's surprise, Naruto simply held his breath and walked out of the gas cloud, looking annoyed rather than injured. "See, this is exactly why Pervy Sage has been making me learn defensive techniques," he commented, forming a quick hand sign. "Wind style, gale palm." The burst of wind dispersed the remaining poison and sent Kabuto tumbling backward. Naruto followed through with carefully measured speed, appearing behind the medic nin before he could recover. "Surrender," Naruto suggested. "You're outmatched physically, and I'm not falling for your tricks." Orochimaru, observing from a distance, laughed softly. My, Jiraiya. Your new student is quite remarkable. Perhaps even more interesting than Sasuke-kun." The standoff ended abruptly when Tsunade, inspired by Naruto's willingness to protect her despite her earlier insults, rejoined the fight with her legendary strength fully unleashed. The combined might of two Sannin and Naruto forced Orochimaru and Kabuto to retreat. In the aftermath, Tsunade studied Naruto with new eyes. "That dream of becoming Hokage, you're serious about it, aren't you?" Naruto nodded firmly. "More than anything. Even though you're already stronger than most Hokage have ever been, you could probably take the position by force if you wanted." "That's not what being Hokage means," Naruto replied, his expression serious. "It's not about being the strongest. It's about being acknowledged as someone who protects everyone." Tsunade's expression softened. She reached out, placing her grandfather's necklace around Naruto's neck. "Then I'm betting on you, brat. But first, I'll need to handle the position myself for a while." The return journey to Konoha was markedly different from their departure. Tsunade, having accepted the role of fifth Hokage, engaged actively in discussions about the village's future. Naruto, for his part, continued training under both Sannin, incorporating Tsunade's medical knowledge to better understand his transformed physiology. "Your healing rate is extraordinary," she noted during one examination. Wounds that should take days to heal close in hours. Combined with your stamina, you're practically indestructible in conventional combat. I still need to be careful though, Naruto replied, thinking of the third. Being strong doesn't make me invincible. Tsunade nodded approvingly. That wisdom will serve you better than any physical ability. Upon returning to Konoha, Tsunade's first priority was healing those still injured from the invasion, including Sasuke and Kakashi, both suffering from psychological trauma after encounters with Itachi Uchiha during a brief infiltration. When Naruto visited Sasuke in the hospital, he found his teammates staring blankly at the ceiling, lost in the nightmare of Itachi's Tsukuyomi Genjutsu. "Hey," Naruto said quietly, setting a basket of tomatoes, Sasuke's favorite food, on the bedside table. Sasuke's eyes flickered to him briefly. "Come to check on the weak link?" "What? No. Don't pretend," Sasuke interrupted bitterly. "You could have handled Itachi easily with your monstrous strength, while I couldn't even touch him." Naruto sat heavily in the visitor's chair. "That's not true. Itachi and his partner retreated when they faced Pervy Sage. Even with my strength, they're S-rank criminals for a reason." "You don't understand," Sasuke hissed. "He's my target, my responsibility, my brother, my clan's murderer, and I was utterly powerless." The raw pain in Sasuke's voice struck Naruto deeply. For all his physical power, he couldn't heal this kind of wound. "I've been following your training program," Sasuke continued, his voice hollow. "Every day without fail, and nothing. No transformation, no godlike strength, just ordinary progress." "Sasuke, what makes you so special?" The question contained equal parts curiosity and resentment. "Why you and not me? Not anyone else who trains even harder?" Naruto struggled to find an answer that wouldn't sound patronizing. "I honestly don't know. Tsunade thinks it might be something about my Uzumaki heritage combined with the Nine Tails, creating the perfect conditions for this transformation." "So it's just genetic luck," Sasuke concluded bitterly. "Another gift handed to someone, like the Sharingan or Byakugan." "Maybe," Naruto admitted. "But I still had to do the work. And there are different kinds of strength, Sasuke. Your intelligence, your technique mastery, those are areas where you're way ahead of me." Sasuke turned away, unconvinced. The conversation ended shortly after, leaving Naruto troubled about his teammates' mental state. His concerns proved justified when, days later, Sasuke left the village to seek power from Orochimaru. The news of Sasuke's departure hit Naruto like a physical blow. Standing in Tsunade's office as she explained the situation, he struggled to process the reality that his teammate, his friend, had willingly abandoned the village. "He left this," Tsunade said, sliding a folded note across her desk. Naruto opened it with trembling fingers. "Naruto, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Konoha can't give me what I need, the power to kill Itachi. Orochimaru can. I've seen his curse mark's potential. Your monstrous strength came to you through luck, a genetic lottery I can't win. I have to find my own path to power, whatever the cost. Don't follow me. Even you can't change my mind. Sasuke P.S. Thank you for showing me what true strength looks like, even if I can never reach it." The note crumpled in Naruto's tightening grip. "I've assembled a retrieval team," Tsunade continued. "Shikamaru will lead as our newest Chunin. The others, I'll go alone," Naruto interrupted. "I'm faster, and this is between me and Sasuke." Tsunade shook her head firmly. "Absolutely not. Orochimaru has sent his elite sound force to escort Sasuke. Even with your abilities, a team approach is safest." "But this is not negotiable, Naruto." Tsunade's tone hardened. "Your strength is remarkable, but your tactical experience is limited. Shikamaru's strategic mind balances your raw power. This mission requires both." Reluctantly, Naruto agreed. At the village gates, he joined Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Neji. The newly promoted Chunin outlined their pursuit formation with Naruto as the forward assault specialist. "Since you're our strongest combat asset," Shikamaru explained, "we'll conserve your strength for when we encounter the enemy. The rest of us will handle tracking and support." Naruto nodded, though inwardly he chafed at the restraint. Every minute spent in careful pursuit was another minute Sasuke moved closer to Orochimaru. The chase led them through Fire Country's forests, eventually bringing them into contact with the Sound Four. The enemy's unique abilities forced the team to split up, with individual members staying behind to handle specific opponents. Choji faced Jirobo, the Earth Release Specialist. Neji confronted Kidomaru, the six-armed archer. Kiba and Akamaru battled Sakon and Ukon, the conjoined twins. Shikamaru engaged Tayuya, the genjutsu flutist. Each separation tore at Naruto's conscience. His friends were risking their lives while he pressed forward, utilizing his superior speed to continue the pursuit. "Don't worry about us," Shikamaru had insisted during their last separation. "Complete the mission. Bring Sasuke back." When Naruto finally caught up to the fifth member of the sound team, Kimimaro, a wielder of terrifying bone techniques, he found an unexpected ally already engaged in battle. Rock Lee, recently recovered from his injuries, fought with remarkable skill despite his lingering limitations. "Naruto-kun," Lee called, dodging a thrust of bone spikes. "Go ahead. I will handle this opponent." "Lee, you're still recovering. Go!" Lee shouted, opening the first inner gate to push Kimimaro back. "Sasuke-kun is ahead in that barrel. The transformation is nearly complete." Trusting his friend's determination, Naruto pressed onward, leaving Lee to his battle. At the Valley of the End, a historic landmark where the first Hokage and Madara Uchiha once fought, Naruto finally found Sasuke. The barrel had opened, and Sasuke stood atop the massive statue of Madara, his body transformed by the completed curse mark. Dark, hand-like wings extended from his back. His skin had darkened to ashen gray, and a black star-shaped mark spread across his face. "I told you not to follow me," Sasuke said, his voice eerily calm. Naruto landed on the opposing statue of Hashirama Senju, "And I told you I'd never go back on my word. That's my ninja way." "Go home, Naruto. This isn't your fight." "It became my fight when you decided to abandon everything for power," Naruto countered. "I know about wanting strength, Sasuke. I know about wanting acknowledgement, but this isn't the way." Sasuke laughed bitterly. "Easy for you to say. You who gained power beyond imagination through simple training. Do you have any idea what it's like to work your entire life toward a goal, only to realize you'll never reach it? Is that what this is about?" Naruto asked incredulously. "You're jealous of my strength? This is about Itachi," Sasuke snarled. "About avenging my clan. About fulfilling my purpose. Your strength just showed me that conventional methods won't be enough. And you think Orochimaru won't use you? He wants your body, Sasuke. He'll discard you once he's taken what he needs." "At least I'll have power first," Sasuke replied coldly. "Power enough to kill Itachi before Orochimaru takes over." The curse mark spread further across Sasuke's skin as his Sharingan activated. "Enough talk. If you won't leave willingly, I'll force you." Naruto remained still, making no move to defend himself. "Hit me with everything you've got, Sasuke. Get it out of your system, then we can talk like rational people." "Don't mock me," Sasuke roared, launching forward with the Chidori blazing in his hand. The lightning technique struck Naruto directly in the chest and dispersed harmlessly against his unmoving form. Sasuke stared in disbelief. "How?" "I told you," Naruto said quietly. "Hit me with everything. I won't fight back until you're ready to listen." Rage consumed Sasuke. He unleashed a barrage of fire techniques, physical strikes, and even a second Chidori, pushing his cursed form to its limits. Naruto endured it all without resistance, his clothes singed, but his body unmarked. Finally, Sasuke collapsed to one knee, chakra nearly exhausted. "Fight back, damn you! Don't pity me!" "This isn't pity," Naruto replied, stepping closer. "This is respect. I'm acknowledging your pain, Sasuke. I'm taking it all because that's what friends do." "We're not friends," Sasuke spat. "We're rivals, enemies." "No," Naruto shook his head. "We're brothers, not by blood but by something deeper. The third saw it. Kakashi sees it. Why can't you?" Something flickered in Sasuke's eyes. Doubt, perhaps, or a moment of clarity breaking through the curse mark's influence. "It's not too late," Naruto continued, extending his hand. "Come back to Konoha. We'll find another way to give you the strength you need, together." For a moment, it seemed Sasuke might accept. Then his expression hardened once more. "You still don't understand," he said quietly. "This isn't just about power anymore. It's about identity. In Konoha, I'll always be in someone's shadow. First Itachi's, now yours. With Orochimaru, I can forge my own path." "A path to what? Becoming a vessel for a madman? A path to freedom from bonds that weaken me," Sasuke declared, "including ours." He rose, activating the second stage of his cursed seal transformation. The wings extended fully as chakra surged around him. "One final attack, Naruto. My strongest against yours. Prove to me that your way is better. Naruto hesitated. He'd been holding back his full strength for so long that unleashing it, even partially, felt dangerous. But Sasuke needed to understand, not through words, but through direct experience. All right, Naruto agreed solemnly. One exchange. But when I win, you come back to Konoha. And when I win, you let me go. Sasuke countered, gathering lightning in his transformed hand. The Chidori morphed into something darker, influenced by the curse mark's power. Naruto didn't summon any visible technique. He simply stood ready, focusing on precisely how much force to use, enough to stop Sasuke without causing permanent injury. They launched simultaneously. Sasuke's dark Chidori thrust forward as he flew across the valley. Naruto moved with restrained speed, pulling his punch at the last moment to deliver a controlled tap rather than his full strength. Their techniques met in a blinding flash. The resulting shockwave cracked the valley walls and sent water from the falls shooting upward in a massive column. When the light faded, Sasuke lay unconscious at the base of the statues, his curse mark receding. Naruto stood over him, unharmed but solemn. I win, he said quietly to his unconscious friend. Time to go home. As Naruto lifted Sasuke carefully, mindful of his injuries, he sensed another presence. Turning, he found Kakashi perched on a nearby outcropping. You held back significantly, the Jonin observed. Naruto nodded. I could have hurt him badly. That wasn't the point. And what was the point? To show him there's more to strength than raw power, Naruto explained. That bonds don't weaken us. They give us something worth being strong for. Kakashi eye smiled approvingly. Perhaps you're wiser than we give you credit for, Naruto. Together, they returned to Konoha, bringing with them an unconscious Sasuke and the hope that the team might be whole again. But Naruto harbored no illusions. The battle at the Valley of the End had resolved nothing. It had only bought time. The true challenge lay ahead, helping Sasuke find meaning beyond revenge, showing him that true strength came not from isolation, but from protecting those who matter. It was a battle that couldn't be won with a single punch, no matter how powerful. In the weeks that followed, Naruto visited the hospital daily as Sasuke recovered under strict surveillance. Most visits passed in stony silence, but Naruto persisted, sometimes talking about his own struggles with his unusual strength, other times simply sitting quietly in solidarity. On the day Sasuke was scheduled for release into monitored house arrest, Naruto arrived to find him staring out the window at the Hokage monument. They've added Tsunade's face, Sasuke observed, breaking his usual silence. Yeah, Naruto nodded. The stoneworkers have been at it for weeks. A long pause followed before Sasuke spoke again. That strength of yours? It really came just from the training you described? Nothing else? As far as I know, Naruto confirmed, though Tsunade thinks my Uzumaki heritage and the Nine Tails might have created the right conditions. I've been thinking about what you said at the valley, Sasuke admitted reluctantly. About finding another way. Hope flickered in Naruto's chest. And I'm not promising anything, Sasuke cautioned. But I'm willing to see if Konoha has alternatives to offer. For now. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a beginning. Naruto grinned, resisting the urge to hug his friend and potentially crush his recovering ribs. That's all I'm asking for, a chance to prove there's another path. As they left the hospital together, Naruto reflected on his journey since that fateful day he discovered Guy and Lee training. His physical transformation had been extraordinary, granting him power beyond imagination. But the true growth had been internal, learning restraint, responsibility, and the wisdom to know when strength alone wasn't enough. The Hokage monument loomed above them, 5 faces watching over the village. Someday, Naruto's would join them, not because of his overwhelming physical abilities, but because of the heart that guided how he used that strength. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run had changed his body. But it was the people around him, Iruka, Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke, and countless others, who had shaped his spirit. That, Naruto realized, was the true meaning of strength. Again, Jiraiya commanded, his expression uncharacteristically serious. Naruto stood in the center of a remote clearing, surrounded by a circle of wooden dummies. His eyes were blindfolded, sweat trickling down his temples despite the cool mountain air. Remember, the goal isn't to destroy them, it's to tag them with exactly the right force. Too little? You missed the target. Too much. I know, Naruto sighed. Too much and I obliterate the entire training ground. Again. The exercise had become routine over the past year of their journey together. Jiraiya would set up increasingly complex challenges designed not to test Naruto's overwhelming physical abilities, but his precision, restraint, and sensory awareness. With a subtle shift in stance, Naruto extended his awareness outward. The gentle creaking of wood in the wind, the almost imperceptible smell of fresh paint marking the targets, the displacement of air around each dummy's unique shape. In a blur of motion that even Jiraiya's experienced eyes struggled to follow, Naruto moved. One moment he stood in the center. The next he had completed a complex pattern of movements through the training dummies. He stopped precisely where he had begun, removing his blindfold with a hopeful expression. Jiraiya walked among the targets, examining each one. Every dummy bore a small fingerprint of blue paint, transferred from Naruto's hand to the exact center of each target circle. None were broken, cracked, or even noticeably disturbed from their original positions. 47 perfect marks, Jiraiya counted, his tone impressed despite himself. 3 with slight deviations and, he paused at the last dummy, which had a paint mark 2 centimeters from the target's center. 1 significant miss. Naruto's shoulders slumped. I thought I had it this time. You're improving, Jiraiya offered, placing a hand on his student's shoulder. 6 months ago, you would have reduced half these dummies to splinters without meaning to. Progress isn't always about getting stronger, Naruto. Sometimes it's about control. The 16-year-old nodded, though disappointment lingered in his eyes. For someone who could shatter mountains with a casual punch, the inability to perfectly execute such a relatively simple task was frustrating. But that was precisely the point of these exercises, to teach him that overwhelming power without precision was as much a liability as a gift. Later that evening, as they sat around their campfire cooking fish, Jiraiya studied his student thoughtfully. Nearly 2 years into their training journey, Naruto had matured significantly. The boisterous 12-year-old who announced his presence to the world had been replaced by a more contemplative young man who understood the weight of his extraordinary abilities. Something on your mind, pervy sage? Naruto asked, noticing his mentor's gaze. I've been thinking about your progress, Jiraiya replied. Not just in controlling your strength, but in understanding its implications. Naruto turned his fish over the fire. You mean the burden of power lectures? Mock all you want, but you know I'm right, Jiraiya chuckled. Someone with your capabilities faces unique challenges. It's not just about whether you can punch through a mountain, it's about whether you should. I know, Naruto sighed. Great power, great responsibility. It's more than that. Jiraiya's tone grew serious. It's about loneliness, about carrying abilities that no one else can truly understand. The statement hung in the air between them. Naruto stared into the fire, suddenly looking older than his 16 years. Sometimes I wonder if anyone else could do what I did, he admitted quietly. Follow the same training routine and get these results. Tsunade said it might be my Uzumaki genes combined with the Nine Tails, but what if someone else tried? You're still thinking about Sasuke, Jiraiya observed. Not just him. Everyone. Every time we visit a village ravaged by war or natural disaster, I think, I could fix this in seconds. I could rebuild their homes, reroute rivers, move mountains to protect them from landslides. But I don't, because you've taught me that solving everyone's problems doesn't help them grow. Jiraiya nodded approvingly. That's wisdom speaking, not just strength. The hardest lesson for someone with your power isn't learning to use it, it's learning when not to. But is it right? Naruto pressed, genuine moral conflict in his voice. If I can help but choose not to, am I responsible for what happens? That, Jiraiya said, pointing his cooking stick at Naruto, is the question that has haunted every person of great capability throughout history. There's no simple answer. Each situation requires its own judgment. They fell silent, the crackling fire filling the space between their thoughts. After several minutes, Jiraiya spoke again. Tomorrow we begin something new. I think you're ready. Naruto perked up. A new technique? Not exactly, Jiraiya smirked. Something more challenging. Teaching. Teaching? Naruto repeated, confused. Teaching who? Whenever we find someone in need of instruction, you'll be the one providing it. I'll observe and guide when necessary, but the responsibility will be yours. But I'm not qualified to. That's precisely why you need to do it, Jiraiya interrupted. The best way to truly understand something is to teach it to others. And more importantly, you need to connect with people as equals, not just as someone who can solve their problems with overwhelming force. The next morning found them in a small village where recent bandit attacks had left the locals fearful and vulnerable. Rather than simply eliminating the threat, which Naruto could have accomplished in seconds, Jiraiya insisted they take a different approach. These people need to learn to defend themselves, he explained. Short-term protection doesn't solve their long-term vulnerability. For the next 2 weeks, Naruto found himself instructing a motley group of farmers, shopkeepers, and village youth in basic self-defense techniques. The challenge wasn't in the instruction itself. Naruto knew the fundamentals well, but in the restraint required to demonstrate techniques at normal human levels. No, Takeo, like this. Naruto guided a burly blacksmith's hands into the proper blocking position. You need to redirect the force rather than absorbing it directly. I don't understand why, the man grumbled. I'm stronger than most. Can't I just block it head on? Naruto considered how to explain. Strength isn't always the answer. Even the strongest person can be overcome by proper technique or unexpected circumstances. The words felt strange in his mouth. He who could level mountains with a casual blow, lecturing on the limitations of raw strength. Yet as the days passed, he found genuine satisfaction in watching his students improve through their own efforts. You're doing well, Jiraiya commented, observing from the sidelines. They respect you. I'm not sure why, Naruto admitted during a break. I haven't shown them anything impressive. That's precisely why, Jiraiya replied. You're meeting them as equals, not as some untouchable prodigy. You're showing that improvement comes through perseverance and proper technique, not just innate ability. When bandits attacked again 3 weeks later, Naruto watched from hiding as the villagers successfully defended themselves. Their victory wasn't swift or elegant, but it was theirs, earned through effort and cooperation, rather than handed to them by an overwhelmingly powerful protector. How does it feel? Jiraiya asked as they prepared to leave the celebrating village. Knowing you could have solved their problem in seconds, but instead spent weeks helping them solve it themselves? Naruto looked back at the villagers, their faces alight with pride and newfound confidence. Different, he admitted, but good. They earned this victory. It belongs to them completely. And that, Jiraiya said with satisfaction, is a lesson more valuable than any combat technique I could teach you. As their journey continued, this pattern repeated across various challenges. Rather than directly applying his overwhelming strength, Naruto learned to approach problems obliquely, teaching, guiding, supporting, and only intervening directly when absolutely necessary. In a flood-threatened village, he organized evacuation plans and showed locals how to build more effective levees rather than simply diverting the river with his strength. When facing a group of rogue ninja terrorizing a trade route, he helped local security forces develop better patrol strategies instead of single-handedly eliminating the threat. 6 months before their scheduled return to Konoha, Jiraiya introduced what he called handicap techniques, specialized methods for Naruto to limit his abilities to different levels for different situations. The problem with your power, Jiraiya explained, is that it exists in only 2 states, overwhelming or restrained. You need more gradations, ways to fight at Chunin level, Jonin level, Kage level, and so on. Like training weights, but for my entire fighting style, Naruto reasoned. Exactly. Develop specific movement patterns, speed limitations, and force restrictions that you can apply automatically in different scenarios. This will allow you to have meaningful fights rather than either obliterating opponents instantly or holding back so much that there's no challenge. The development of these handicap techniques became Naruto's focus for their remaining months together. He created specific limitations he could impose on himself. Level 1. Genin equivalent. Using only academy-level techniques, basic taijutsu, and minimal strength enhancement. Level 2. Chunin equivalent. Allowing shadow clones, limited chakra techniques, and strength approximately 10 times normal human capacity. Level 3, Jonin equivalent. Full ninjutsu arsenal, speed that appeared as blurring to normal eyes, and strength capable of shattering stone. Level 4, Kage equivalent. Nearly unrestricted speed and strength, limited only to prevent environmental catastrophe. Level 5, unrestricted. His true capabilities, used only in life or death situations, with no witnesses, or when facing threats to the entire world. Through rigorous practice, Naruto learned to switch between these levels instinctively, adapting to opponents' capabilities without consciously thinking about each limitation. The goal, Jiraiya emphasized, is to make these restrictions second nature. In a real fight, you won't have time to calculate exactly how much force to use. These frameworks give you preset limitations that you can apply automatically. As their time together drew to a close, Jiraiya shared a final insight that resonated deeply with Naruto. The greatest warriors throughout history, he said during one of their last evenings together, were not those with the most overwhelming abilities, but those who understood exactly how much force was necessary for each situation. Like the third Hokage, Naruto replied quietly. Exactly like Sarutobi-sensei, Jiraiya nodded. He wasn't always the physically strongest, but he knew precisely how to apply his capabilities for maximum effect with minimum collateral damage. That's the mark of a true Hokage. Wisdom in the application of power, not just the possession of it. On their final night before returning to Konoha, Naruto asked the question that had been building throughout their journey. Do you think I should tell the others about what I can really do? Jiraiya considered this carefully. Who knows currently? The full extent, I mean. You, Tsunade, Kakashi to some degree. Sasuke has seen glimpses but doesn't know everything. Gaara suspects but hasn't seen my limits. A small circle, Jiraiya noted. There are advantages to keeping it that way. Enemies underestimate you. Allies aren't intimidated by you. And most importantly, you can have normal relationships without the burden of your abilities standing between you and others. But isn't it dishonest, Naruto pressed, to hide who I really am from my friends? Everyone has aspects of themselves they keep private, Jiraiya replied. The question is, would revealing this help your bonds with others or hinder them? Would Sakura treat you the same if she knew you could destroy mountains with a finger flick? Would your generation of shinobi still see you as a peer rather than something other? Naruto fell silent, contemplating these questions. Finally, he spoke. I'll keep the full extent private for now, but I won't actively lie to those closest to me. If they ask directly, or if circumstances require it, I'll be honest. Jiraiya nodded approvingly. A balanced approach. Speaking of balance, there's something else we should discuss before returning. What's that? The Nine Tails, Jiraiya said. You've barely tapped into its chakra during our entire journey. Is that deliberate? Naruto shrugged. It doesn't seem necessary most of the time. My physical abilities are usually enough, and the fox's chakra feels redundant. Nevertheless, you should establish better communication with your tenant, Jiraiya advised. The Nine Tails is more than just a power source. It's a sentient being with knowledge and experience that could be valuable to you. You want me to make friends with the fox? Naruto asked skeptically. I want you to acknowledge it as more than just a battery, Jiraiya corrected. Whether that becomes friendship, partnership, or something else entirely is between you and the Nine Tails. The next morning, as they packed their belongings for the final leg of their journey back to Konoha, Naruto felt both excitement and apprehension. 2.5 years had transformed him from an impulsive genin, discovering incredible power, into a more thoughtful shinobi who understood that his greatest strength lay not in his physical capabilities, but in knowing when and how to use them. Ready to show Konoha how you've grown? Jiraiya asked with a smile. Naruto adjusted his headband, a determined expression settling on his features. Ready as I'll ever be. What neither of them could know was how soon those lessons in restraint, precision, and wisdom would be tested, not against typical enemies, but against threats designed to capture the very power that Naruto had spent years learning to control. The walls of Konoha appeared on the horizon, unchanged yet somehow different through Naruto's more experienced eyes. The village that had once seemed the entire world to him now registered as merely one point in a vast, complex geopolitical landscape. Nervous? Jiraiya asked, noting his student's thoughtful expression. Just wondering how much has changed, Naruto replied. And how much I've changed. Their entry through the village gates brought the first test of Naruto's restraint. The impulse to leap onto the nearest rooftop and announce his return at full volume was almost overwhelming, a remnant of his younger, attention-seeking self. Instead, he walked calmly alongside Jiraiya, offering a polite nod to the gate guards. Sakura's reaction upon seeing him provided the second test. As she ran toward him with obvious excitement, Naruto carefully calculated the appropriate response to her enthusiastic hug, returning the gesture with just enough warmth to convey genuine happiness without accidentally crushing ribs. "You've grown so much," she exclaimed, stepping back to examine him properly. "You too," he replied, noticing the subtle changes in her appearance and bearing. The childish crush that had once defined their interactions had evolved into something more substantive. Mutual respect between capable shinobi. The reunion with Kakashi, their subsequent bell test, and reintegration into Konoha's shinobi ranks passed in a whirlwind of activity. Through it all, Naruto maintained his carefully calibrated level 2 restrictions, showing improved skills that seemed impressive but plausible for dedicated training with the Sannin. Just as he was settling into a comfortable routine, the message arrived from Suna. Gaara, now Kazekage, had been captured by Akatsuki. "We leave immediately," Tsunade declared, assigning Team Kakashi to the rescue mission. "Naruto, a private word before you go." In the Hokage's office, away from others, Tsunade fixed him with a penetrating gaze. "Jiraiya has kept me informed about your development. This mission presents unique challenges for someone with your capabilities." "I understand," Naruto nodded seriously. "I'll be careful." "It's not just about being careful," Tsunade leaned forward. "It's about making impossible choices. The Akatsuki are after the tailed beasts. They'll be expecting a Jinchuriki of normal capabilities, not what you've become. The temptation to reveal your true strength to save Gaara will be immense. But if I do, I expose myself as a target unlike anything they've encountered," Naruto finished her thought, "and potentially put Konoha at greater risk." "Precisely," Tsunade nodded approvingly. "You've matured, Naruto. The boy who left would have charged in without consideration for strategic implications. The boy who left would have already been halfway to Suna," Naruto admitted with a rueful smile. Tsunade's expression softened slightly. "Use your judgment. Protect your team. Save Gaara if possible. But remember, revealing your full capabilities changes everything, not just for this mission, but for the entire shinobi world." The journey to Suna tested Naruto's patience more than his strength. Though he could have covered the 3-day distance in hours, he maintained pace with his team, each passing minute weighing on him as he imagined Gaara in Akatsuki's clutches. "We'll get there in time," Sakura assured him, misinterpreting his tension as normal concern rather than the agony of deliberately holding back. "Yeah," he replied, forcing a smile while thinking, "I could be there now. I could have been there yesterday. I could have prevented this entirely if I'd been watching over Gaara." When they finally reached Suna, the situation was worse than anticipated. Kankuro had been poisoned attempting to pursue the kidnappers, and despite Sakura's impressive medical intervention, valuable time had been lost. As they prepared to follow the Akatsuki's trail, now accompanied by Elder Chiyo, Naruto found a moment alone to center himself. Gaara's abduction felt deeply personal. Another Jinchuriki, one who understood loneliness as Naruto did, now threatened because of the burden they shared. "I could end this in minutes," he thought, staring at his open palm. "Race ahead, find their hideout, extract Gaara before they even realize what's happening." But such action would expose his abilities to the Akatsuki, potentially making him their primary target and abandoning his team to face dangerous enemies alone. The lessons of restraint and teamwork that Jiraiya had instilled warred with his instinct to save his friend immediately. "You seem troubled," Elder Chiyo observed, approaching quietly. Naruto closed his hand. "Just concerned about Gaara." "The Jinchuriki bond," she nodded knowingly. "You understand his burden as few others could." "It's more than that," Naruto replied. "Gaara changed his entire life, from being feared and isolated to becoming Kazekage, respected and needed by his people. He deserves better than to be hunted for what was forced upon him as a child." Chiyo studied him with renewed interest. "You speak with unusual wisdom for one so young." Naruto offered a tight smile. "I've had good teachers." The pursuit led them to a confrontation with Itachi Uchiha, or rather, a substitute created through a disturbing technique that sacrificed another person. During the battle, Naruto deliberately restricted himself to level 3 abilities, appearing as an exceptionally talented Jonin, but nothing more. When they finally reached the Akatsuki hideout, finding it sealed with a complex barrier, Naruto's frustration peaked. Every moment spent on methodical problem-solving was another moment Gaara suffered, possibly died, inside. "If we remove the 5 seals simultaneously, the barrier should fall," Kakashi explained, dispatching Guy's team to locate the distant seal tags. Naruto nodded, outwardly patient while inwardly calculating how quickly he could simply smash through the barrier with brute force. But such action would reveal capabilities that would raise uncomfortable questions from his comrades and potentially alert the Akatsuki to his true nature. Instead, he waited, counting seconds that felt like hours until the barrier finally fell. The scene inside confirmed his worst fears. Gaara's motionless body on the ground, his life force extracted, while Sasori and Deidara prepared to retreat with their prize. "You're too late," Deidara smirked. "The One Tail has been sealed, and your Kazekage friend is already dead." Something in Naruto snapped. Not his control over his strength, but his emotional restraint. Grief and rage flooded through him, and for a dangerous moment, he teetered on the edge of abandoning all pretense. "Naruto," Kakashi's voice cut through his emotional haze, steady and grounding. "Focus. We can still recover Gaara." The reminder was enough. Naruto pulled back from the precipice, compartmentalizing his grief to focus on the immediate tactical situation. When Deidara fled with Gaara's body, Naruto and Kakashi pursued, while Sakura and Chiyo remained to confront Sasori. The chase led them through forest and canyon, Naruto maintaining his level 3 restrictions despite the overwhelming urge to simply disappear in a burst of speed and snatch Gaara's body from Deidara's clay bird. When they finally cornered the Akatsuki member, Naruto found himself facing not just an enemy, but a philosophical challenge. Deidara viewed his explosions as art, destruction elevated to aesthetic experience. The concept struck Naruto as a twisted reflection of his own relationship with power. "You don't understand true art, Deidara taunted as they fought. "The beauty of a fleeting moment, captured in explosive perfection." "Art shouldn't come at the cost of innocent lives," Naruto countered, his attacks precisely calibrated to appear powerful, but not impossibly so. Their battle culminated in Deidara's desperate use of a massive suicide technique, a giant clay bomb that threatened to annihilate everything within a 10-kilometer radius. In that critical moment, Naruto made a split-second decision. As Kakashi struggled to contain the explosion with his Mangekyo Sharingan, Naruto moved at a fraction of his true speed, appearing beside his sensei. "Let me help," he said, placing his hand alongside Kakashi's focused eye. With carefully controlled strength, Naruto enhanced Kakashi's technique, directing additional chakra to expand the dimensional vortex that absorbed Deidara's explosion. To Kakashi, it would appear as though Naruto had simply provided additional chakra, unusual but not impossible for a Jinchuriki. In reality, Naruto had physically manipulated the dimensional space with his bare hand, something that should have been absolutely impossible. When they recovered Gaara's body and regrouped with Sakura and Chiyo, who had defeated Sasori at terrible cost, the full weight of their Pyrrhic victory settled upon them. Gaara lay lifeless, the extraction of Shukaku having claimed his life as it had so many Jinchuriki before him. As Naruto knelt beside his friend's body, grief overcame tactical consideration. Tears flowed freely down his face, not just for Gaara, but for the unfairness of their shared burden, for a world that treated Jinchuriki as weapons rather than people. "It's not right," he whispered, clenching his fist. He deserved better. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, a minor earthquake that none of the others connected to Naruto's barely contained emotions. But kilometers away, outside his companion's line of sight, a mountain peak shattered into dust as Naruto's grief briefly manifested through an unconscious release of power. Elder Chiyo approached, her expression solemn but determined. There may be a way to save him, but at great cost. She explained her reincarnation technique, a forbidden jutsu that could restore Gaara's life by sacrificing her own. As she began the hand signs, Naruto watched with newfound understanding of sacrifice and its purpose. "Wait," he said suddenly, placing his hands alongside Chiyo's on Gaara's chest. "Let me contribute my chakra. Maybe it can reduce the cost to you." What his companions couldn't see was the extraordinary precision with which Naruto manipulated his own life force, not just providing chakra, but actively restructuring the technique's requirements through sheer physical manipulation of the energies involved. To Chiyo, it would feel as though her technique was working with unprecedented efficiency. In reality, Naruto was bearing most of the burden himself, his incredible vitality allowing him to transfer without risking his own existence. Gaara's eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to recognition as he saw Naruto kneeling beside him. Around them, Suna shinobi who had arrived as reinforcements watched in disbelief and growing joy. "What happened?" Gaara asked weakly. "You died," Naruto answered simply. "We brought you back." Chiyo stared at her hands in amazement, exhausted but very much alive despite having expected to sacrifice herself completely. "How?" "The Nine-Tails chakra must have unexpected properties," Kakashi suggested, providing a convenient explanation that Naruto gratefully accepted with a nod. As they returned to Suna, Gaara surrounded by relieved and celebratory shinobi, Naruto found himself walking slightly apart from the group. The weight of secrets, of choices made and powers concealed, felt heavier than ever. Gaara sought him out later, once he had recovered enough strength to walk unaided. They stood on a balcony overlooking Suna, the desert sunset painting the village in gold and amber. "You've changed," Gaara observed quietly. "So have you, Kazekage," Naruto replied with a genuine smile. "No, it's more than maturity." Gaara's eyes studied him intently. "There's something different about your chakra, your presence. During my extraction, I was aware in a way. I felt Shukaku being removed, but I also sensed when you arrived, your energy is unlike anything I've ever encountered." Naruto hesitated, then decided on partial honesty. "I've been training differently. My physical capabilities have evolved." "Beyond normal human limits," Gaara stated rather than asked. When Naruto didn't deny it, he continued, "The others don't know, do they?" "Not fully," Naruto admitted. "Keeping it limited to a small circle seems safest for now." Gaara nodded thoughtfully. "I understand the burden of power that sets one apart, the lonely path of capability that others cannot comprehend." "Exactly," Naruto said, relieved to be understood without needing to explain. "But remember, Naruto," Gaara placed a hand on his shoulder, "it was you who taught me that true strength comes from bonds with others, not isolation. Don't let your abilities, whatever they may be, separate you from those who care about you." The advice resonated deeply, echoing Jiraiya's warnings about the isolation of extraordinary power. As Team Kakashi prepared to return to Konoha the next day, Naruto found himself at a crossroads, continuing to conceal his true capabilities from his closest friends, or risking their relationships by revealing just how fundamentally different he had become. For now, he chose the former path, maintaining the careful balance between authenticity and strategic concealment. But Gaara's words lingered, a reminder that power without connection was merely capability without purpose. The journey home provided time to process the mission's implications. The Akatsuki were more dangerous and determined than anticipated. Their ability to extract and contain tailed beasts presented an existential threat not just to Jinchuriki like himself, but potentially to the entire shinobi world, if their ultimate goal involved weaponizing that power. More personally, Naruto realized that his training with Jiraiya had prepared him for many challenges, but not for the specific pain of being powerful enough to save everyone, yet constrained by the strategic necessity of concealment. The burden of restraint, of watching others struggle and suffer when he could end their trials with minimal effort, weighed heavier than any physical training. As Konoha's gates appeared on the horizon, Naruto made a private resolution. He would find a balance between concealment and action, between strategic restraint and necessary intervention. The path forward wouldn't be simple, but he was determined to honor both his incredible capabilities and the human connections that gave those abilities meaning. What he couldn't anticipate was how soon that resolution would be tested, not by external enemies, but by the very being sealed within him, whose power had once defined Naruto's identity before being eclipsed by his own extraordinary transformation. The opportunity to confront the Nine Tails came sooner than Naruto expected. Following their return from the Kazekage rescue mission, Tsunade had ordered Team Kakashi to rest and recover. For Naruto, however, physical recovery was barely necessary. His body had long since evolved beyond normal limitations of fatigue or injury. His mind, though, required time to process the implications of Gaara's experience and his own evolving relationship with power. On the third night after their return, Naruto sat cross-legged on the Hokage monument, specifically atop the fourth stone head. The village sprawled below, peaceful under starlight. Closing his eyes, he turned his attention inward, seeking the mental space where the Nine Tails resided. The familiar sewer-like mindscape materialized around him, a reflection of how he had once perceived his relationship with the beast within. Massive pipes ran along the ceiling, carrying chakra throughout the system. Water pooled around his ankles as he walked purposefully toward the central chamber. The enormous gate loomed before him, the paper seal at its center appearing frailer than he remembered. Behind those bars, in the darkness, two massive red eyes opened, regarding him with a mixture of disdain and curiosity. "So, my jailer finally deigns to visit," the Nine Tails rumbled, its voice echoing through the chamber. "Have you come seeking my power at last, after ignoring me for years?" Naruto approached the bars without fear, stopping just short of the gate. "I've come to talk, actually." A deep, rumbling laugh shook the chamber. "Talk? How diplomatic of you! And what would the all-powerful Naruto Uzumaki wish to discuss with his prisoner?" The sarcasm in the fox's tone was unmistakable, but beneath it, Naruto detected something else, genuine curiosity, perhaps even a hint of respect. "Our relationship," Naruto replied simply, "it's been unbalanced for too long." "Unbalanced?" The Nine Tails leaned closer to the bars, its massive face illuminated in the dim light. "You've barely drawn upon my chakra since discovering your own abnormal strength. I'd call that more than unbalanced. I'd call it obsolescence." The bitter edge in the fox's voice surprised Naruto. He had expected anger, resentment at being imprisoned, but not this almost wounded pride. "That's part of what I wanted to discuss," Naruto acknowledged. "My physical transformation has made our relationship complicated, but I've been thinking about what you truly are. Not just a chakra battery for me to draw upon, but a sentient being with your own history, knowledge, and perspective." The Nine Tails regarded him with narrowed eyes, suspicion evident. "Pretty words. What do you really want?" "A more honest arrangement," Naruto stated directly. "My body has evolved beyond normal human limitations, making your chakra less necessary for basic combat, but your experience and knowledge, that's something my physical strength can't replace." "So I'm to be demoted from power source to advisor?" the fox sneered. "How generous of you." "I'm suggesting a partnership rather than exploitation," Naruto countered, and as a show of good faith, he raised his hand toward the gate, focusing his intent. The massive bars, manifestations of the seal that had contained the Nine Tails since Naruto's birth, began to vibrate. Creaking sounds echoed through the chamber as Naruto exerted his will, not through traditional Fuinjutsu manipulation, but through sheer physical force applied directly to the mental construct. The Nine Tails' eyes widened in disbelief as cracks appeared in the seemingly impenetrable barrier. "What are you doing?" "The seal." With a decisive gesture, Naruto tore the gates apart. Metal screamed and bent, the paper seal shredding as the physical manifestation of the Nine Tails' prison disintegrated under Naruto's impossible strength. Where the imposing barrier had stood, only twisted remnants remained. The Nine Tails stared in shock, freedom suddenly available after decades of imprisonment. "You could have done this at any time," the beast realized, its voice uncharacteristically quiet. "For the past year or so, yes," Naruto confirmed. "My physical transformation extends to this mental space. The seal hasn't been truly containing you. I have." The Nine Tails took a tentative step forward, crossing the threshold where the gate had stood. No barrier repelled it, no seal activated to force it back. True freedom within the mindscape. "Why?" it demanded, looming over Naruto. "Why show me this? Why reveal that my prison has been an illusion?" "Because true partnerships can't be built on deception," Naruto replied, standing his ground despite the fox towering above him. You should know the reality of our situation, that I'm not keeping you contained through the fourth seal anymore, but through my own ability. The Nine Tails could have attacked, could have attempted to overwhelm Naruto's consciousness now that the symbolic barrier was removed. Instead, it sat back on its haunches, studying the young man before it with newfound intensity. You are unlike any Jinchuriki I have ever known, it finally said. Unlike any human, for that matter. I know, Naruto acknowledged. I don't fully understand what I become myself, but I do know that treating you as a tool, a weapon to be drawn upon when convenient, isn't right. You're a being with your own dignity. The Nine Tails laughed, not its usual bitter or menacing sound, but something almost genuine. Dignity? For the creature that attacked your village? That caused the death of your parents? How absurdly forgiving you are. I've had time to think about that night, Naruto replied seriously, about why the most powerful tailed beast would suddenly attack a village after years of containment. About how convenient it was for someone to extract you precisely when my mother was most vulnerable during childbirth. The Nine Tails' expression shifted subtly, surprise, then something like grim appreciation. You're not as simplistic as you once appeared. I had good teachers, Naruto shrugged, and I've learned to look beneath the obvious. Someone controlled you that night, used you as a weapon. Your attack wasn't free will, it was manipulation. Silence filled the chamber as the Nine Tails processed this perspective. Finally, it spoke again, its tone markedly different. Kurama, what? Naruto asked, confused. My name is Kurama, the fox clarified. Not Nine Tails, not fox, not beast. If you truly seek a partnership based on mutual respect, you should at least know who you're addressing. Naruto smiled, sensing a breakthrough. Kurama then, it's good to properly meet you. Don't mistake this for friendship, Naruto Uzumaki, Kurama warned. I haven't forgotten decades of imprisonment, but I acknowledge your approach is different from previous jailers. I'm not asking for friendship immediately, Naruto assured him. Just a beginning, a foundation we can build upon. Kurama studied him thoughtfully. Your physical transformation fascinates me. In all my centuries of existence, I've never witnessed a human evolve as you have. It shouldn't be possible. That makes two of us who don't understand it, Naruto admitted. Tsunade thinks it might be a combination of my Uzumaki vitality, your presence accelerating my healing, and the specific training regimen creating perfect conditions for cellular evolution. Perhaps, Kurama mused, or perhaps you've accidentally tapped into something more fundamental, the original chakra that predates even the Sage of Six Paths' understanding. This piqued Naruto's interest. What do you mean? I've existed since the Sage's time, Kurama reminded him. Before chakra was systematized into the forms shinobi now use, the original energy that the Sage harnessed wasn't just spiritual and physical energy combined. It was something more primal, more directly connected to life force itself. And you think that's what I've accessed? I don't know, Kurama admitted. But your strength doesn't feel like chakra enhancement as shinobi understand it. It feels purer, more direct, as though you've removed the mediating structures that normally limit human capability. Naruto considered this perspective. Could others achieve the same transformation? Kurama's tail swished thoughtfully. Theoretically, perhaps, but the precise combination of factors that enabled your evolution might be unique. Your Uzumaki life force, my presence, your specific training regimen, and perhaps something else entirely that neither of us understands. The conversation continued for what felt like hours, ranging from philosophical discussions about power and responsibility to practical considerations of how they might work together moving forward. By the time Naruto prepared to leave his mindscape, the atmosphere between them had transformed from hostile standoff to cautious mutual assessment. One last thing, Kurama said as Naruto turned to go. The Akatsuki, they are more dangerous than you realize. Their leader possesses eyes that should not exist in this era. The Rinnegan, Naruto nodded, surprising Kurama with his knowledge. Jiraiya suspected as much from reports he gathered. Then you should know that even with your extraordinary physical abilities, those eyes present unique challenges. They manipulate the fundamental forces that you've mastered physically, Your strength might meet its match in techniques that bypass physical interaction entirely. Are you suggesting I might need your power after all? Naruto asked with a slight smile. Kurama snorted. I'm suggesting that overwhelming physical force isn't the answer to every problem. Sometimes ancient knowledge and specific chakra properties are required, areas where I might still prove useful to you. I never thought you weren't useful, Kurama, Naruto corrected gently. Just that our relationship needed redefinition. As Naruto's consciousness returned to the physical world, the night sky above Konoha had shifted, stars moving in their slow procession. Hours had passed in what felt like minutes within his mindscape. The conversation with Kurama had changed something fundamental, not just in their relationship, but in Naruto's understanding of his own evolution. The possibility that he had accidentally accessed some primordial form of energy raised new questions about the nature and limitations of his abilities. More immediately practical was Kurama's warning about the Akatsuki's leader. If the Rinnegan truly could manipulate fundamental forces, Naruto's physical dominance might not be the absolute advantage he had come to rely upon. He would need to develop countermeasures, perhaps drawing upon Kurama's ancient knowledge in ways he hadn't anticipated. The following days brought new missions and challenges for Team Kakashi, including the addition of Sai and temporary leadership under Yamato, while Kakashi recovered from chakra exhaustion. Throughout these adjustments, Naruto maintained his careful restraint, operating primarily at level 2 or 3 of his self-imposed limitations. His altered relationship with Kurama manifested in subtle ways: occasional silent communications, shared sensory awareness, and a gradual softening of the barriers between their consciousnesses. Rather than the hostile parasite-host dynamic of the past, they were evolving towards something more symbiotic, each recognizing the unique value the other brought to their shared existence. This new equilibrium would soon face its greatest test, not from external enemies, but from the growing complexity of maintaining different facades for different relationships. As the web of secrets and partial truths expanded, Naruto would discover that sometimes the greatest challenge for someone with world-shattering strength wasn't in defeating enemies, but in maintaining authentic connections with allies who knew only fragments of his true capabilities. The Akatsuki were moving more aggressively. Reports of Jinchuriki disappearances accelerated, and somewhere in the shadows, former allies made choices that would force Naruto to confront the limits of restraint when those he cared about stood in harm's way. The intelligence arrived via Jiraiya's extensive network. Akatsuki movements had been detected in multiple countries simultaneously, suggesting a coordinated effort to capture the remaining Jinchuriki. More concerning was information indicating they had successfully extracted and contained the chakra from several tailed beasts already. In Tsunade's office, Naruto stood with uncharacteristic stillness as she outlined the situation. We believe their next target will be the six-tailed Jinchuriki from Kirigakure, she explained, indicating a location on the map spread across her desk. Our allies report Utakata was last seen in this region, apparently unaware he's being pursued. Kakashi studied the map thoughtfully. That's at least a 4-day journey at standard travel speeds. If Akatsuki is already moving, they might reach him first, Naruto finished, his mind calculating distances and time frames. He could cover the distance in hours rather than days, but doing so would mean abandoning team protocols and revealing capabilities he'd worked hard to keep measured. Tsunade's eyes met his, understanding the unspoken dilemma. This presents a strategic challenge. The obvious solution involves risks beyond the mission itself. What obvious solution? Sakura asked, looking between them in confusion. Nothing, Naruto replied quickly, just considering our options. Tsunade cleared her throat. Team Kakashi will depart immediately. Your primary objective is to locate and warn Utakata about the threat. Secondary objective is to offer protection or escort him to a secure location of his choosing. And if we encounter Akatsuki? Yamato asked, temporarily leading the team while Kakashi recovered from his last mission. Assess the situation carefully, Tsunade instructed. Engage only if absolutely necessary and you believe you can prevail without casualties. Otherwise, focus on extraction and evasion. As the team prepared to depart, Tsunade held Naruto back momentarily. You know what's at stake here beyond the mission parameters. I do, he nodded seriously. I'll be careful. Being careful isn't always enough, she replied. Sometimes impossible choices must be made in the moment. Trust your judgment, Naruto. You've earned that right. The journey toward Utakata's last known location became an exercise in patience for Naruto. Each stride at normal shinobi speed felt agonizingly slow when he knew he could cover the same ground in a fraction of the time. Each camp established for the night represented hours lost when time was critical. On the third evening, as his teammates slept, Naruto sat at the edge of their camp, engaged in silent communication with Kurama. We could reach him tonight, he thought, knowing the fox could hear him. I could create a shadow clone to remain here, suppressing its chakra to avoid detection, while my real body covers the remaining distance. And what explanation would you offer when you magically locate a Jinchuriki that intelligence agencies have struggled to track? Kurama countered. Every use of your extraordinary abilities creates questions that demand answers. So I just do nothing? Let another Jinchuriki potentially be captured because I'm worried about maintaining cover? I didn't say that, Kurama replied. I merely point out the complexity of your position. The choice remains yours. After further deliberation, Naruto created a shadow clone with specific instructions to maintain normal behavior patterns if his teammates awoke. His real body then departed at a fraction of his true speed, fast enough to cover significant distance, but not so fast as to create environmental disturbances that might be noticed. By dawn, he had located Utakata, a solemn young man with a bubble pipe who initially mistook Naruto's approach for hostility. I'm not here to fight, Naruto explained, raising empty hands. I'm from Konoha. We've received intelligence that Akatsuki is targeting you specifically. Utakata's suspicious expression didn't waver. And why would Konoha care about a missing nin from Kirigakure? Because I'm a Jinchuriki too, Naruto replied simply. And I've seen what happens when Akatsuki captures one of us. This revelation changed Utakata's demeanor slightly. Which one? 9 tails, Naruto answered. And I was there when they extracted the one tail from the Kazekage. He died, Utakata. We were barely able to revive him through a specialized technique that sacrificed another life. So you came alone to warn me? Utakata asked, still skeptical. Where's your team? A day behind, Naruto admitted. I moved ahead because time seemed critical. Utakata studied him carefully, then sighed. I've sensed pursuers for the past week, 2 individuals with unusual chakra signatures. I've been evading rather than confronting. Wise choice, Naruto nodded. Akatsuki members operate in pairs, and they're all S-rank criminals with unique abilities. Their conversation was interrupted by a disturbance in the nearby forest, birds taking flight suddenly, signaling an approaching presence. Naruto extended his senses, detecting 2 chakra signatures moving with purpose toward their location. They're here, he said quietly. We need to move. Too late for that, a voice called from the tree line. How convenient to find 2 Jinchuriki instead of 1. Kakuzu will be pleased at the efficiency. The speaker emerged from the shadows, a pale-haired man carrying a 3-bladed scythe, a maniacal grin spreading across his face. Behind him followed a masked figure with oddly colored eyes, his body language conveying cold calculation rather than his partner's obvious bloodlust. Hidan and Kakuzu, Naruto identified them from Jiraiya's intelligence briefings. The immortal zealot and the 5-hearted bounty hunter. Oh, our reputation precedes us, Hidan laughed. That saves time on introductions before the sacrifices begin. Naruto stepped forward, positioning himself between the Akatsuki members and Utakata. You should leave now, he said calmly. This doesn't need to become violent. Hidan's laughter redoubled. That's the point, blasphemer. Violence is the path to salvation through Jashin. Enough, Hidan, Kakuzu interjected, his voice gravely and impatient. The 9-tails Jinchuriki is more valuable alive. Leader's orders were explicit. Naruto assessed the situation rapidly. His teammates were still a day away. Utakata, while undoubtedly skilled, was an unknown quantity in combat. Revealing his full capabilities would expose information to both Akatsuki and a foreign Jinchuriki, potentially creating strategic vulnerabilities beyond this immediate confrontation. A middle path, then. Utakata, Naruto said quietly, when I engage them, create distance. These 2 are specifically equipped for close-range combat. Before the Six Tails Jinchuriki could respond, Naruto moved. Not at his full speed, but at level 4, appearing as an elite jonin with exceptional abilities rather than something beyond human comprehension. His first strike caught Hidan by surprise, a precisely calculated punch that sent the zealot flying backward through several trees without completely obliterating him. Kakuzu reacted instantly, his body erupting with black tendrils that sought to ensnare Naruto. Dodging with carefully controlled speed, Naruto created shadow clones that engaged the tendrils while his real body maintained position between the Akatsuki members and Utakata, who had wisely created distance as instructed. Interesting, Kakuzu observed as his tendrils captured and destroyed several clones. Your speed exceeds reports. Leader will want to adjust containment protocols. You're assuming you'll be reporting back, Naruto replied, maintaining his level 4 restrictions while presenting a confident front. The battle escalated as Hidan returned, his expression now maniacally joyful despite obvious injuries. That hurt, you bastard! Jashin will be pleased with your suffering. What followed was a carefully choreographed performance on Naruto's part, appearing to fight at his maximum capability while actually maintaining precise limitations that made the battle appear hard-fought rather than one-sided. His shadow clones provided additional tactical options, engaging both opponents simultaneously while creating opportunities for Utakata to contribute with his bubble-based techniques. The Six Tails Jinchuriki proved remarkably capable, his bubbles containing corrosive properties that even Kakuzu's hardened skin couldn't completely resist. Together, they presented a formidable defense that the Akatsuki pair struggled to penetrate. The turning point came when Hidan managed to acquire a small sample of Naruto's blood during a close exchange, immediately retreating to create his ritual circle. Now you'll understand true pain, he crowed, his skin transforming to a skeletal black and white pattern as he completed his ceremony. What Hidan couldn't know was that Naruto's transformed physiology rendered the blood connection ritual largely ineffective. When the zealot stabbed himself through the heart, expecting Naruto to collapse in identical injury, Naruto merely flinched slightly, his extraordinary durability and healing capabilities negating damage that would have killed an ordinary human instantly. Impossible! Hidan screamed in frustration. The ritual is perfect. You should be dying! Naruto used the moment of confusion to launch a precisely calculated attack on Kakuzu, targeting the masks containing his additional hearts one by one. With each destruction, he made the victory appear progressively more difficult, creating the illusion of a hard-fought battle rather than a controlled dismantling. When the final heart was destroyed, and Hidan had been incapacitated through careful application of Fuinjutsu techniques Jiraiya had taught him, Naruto stood over the defeated Akatsuki members with Utakata at his side. You fought remarkably well, Utakata observed, his tone suggesting he suspected there was more to Naruto's abilities than had been displayed. So did you, Naruto replied, deliberately breathing heavily to maintain the appearance of exhaustion. Your bubble techniques are unlike anything I've seen before. They secured the Akatsuki members, Hidan dismembered and sealed in separate containment scrolls. Kakuzu's remained similarly contained to prevent any possibility of regeneration. Throughout the process, Naruto maintained his facade of a powerful but not superhuman shinobi. When Team Kakashi arrived the following day, they found Naruto and Utakata waiting calmly, the defeated Akatsuki members sealed and secured. You moved ahead without authorization, Yamato noted disapprovingly. I sensed another Jinchuriki in danger, Naruto explained, the partial truth easier to maintain than a complete fabrication. It seemed urgent. Kakashi, who had recovered enough to join the mission en route, studied the containment scrolls with visible surprise. You defeated Hidan and Kakuzu? Both S-rank criminals known specifically for their immortality techniques? We worked together, Naruto gestured to Utakata. His abilities complemented mine perfectly. And they underestimated us because we're Jinchuriki. They wanted us alive for extraction. The explanation satisfied most of his teammates, though Kakashi's visible eye lingered on Naruto with calculated assessment. The Jonin had worked with Naruto long enough to sense when details were being omitted, even if he couldn't identify exactly what was being concealed. Utakata declined their offer of escort, to a secure location, preferring to continue his solitary existence with newfound awareness of the threats targeting him. Before departing, however, he pulled Naruto aside for a private word. "Whatever you're hiding about your capabilities," he said quietly, "I respect your discretion, but know this, the Akatsuki won't stop. Their leader possesses abilities beyond ordinary comprehension." "So I've heard," Naruto nodded. "The Rinnegan." Utakata looked surprised. "You're better informed than I expected. Yes, the Rinnegan, and a philosophy of peace through shared pain that makes him dangerous beyond his techniques alone." "Thank you for the warning," Naruto replied sincerely. "And be careful. The other Jinchuriki, most haven't been as fortunate as we were today." With that exchange, they parted ways. Utakata disappearing into the wilderness while Team Kakashi returned to Konoha with evidence of their first significant victory against Akatsuki. The mission's success created both opportunities and complications. On one hand, the elimination of 2 Akatsuki members disrupted the organization's operations and provided valuable intelligence about their techniques. On the other, Naruto's independent action and the suspiciously decisive victory raised questions among his teammates and superiors. In Tsunade's office, after the formal debriefing concluded and others had been dismissed, she fixed Naruto with a penetrating stare. "The official report indicates a collaborative effort between you and the Six-Tails Jinchuriki, with your teammates arriving after the confrontation concluded," she summarized. "The unofficial reality is, I located Utakata ahead of my team," Naruto admitted. "When Akatsuki attacked, I engaged them while maintaining level 4 restrictions, appearing as an exceptionally capable Jonin, but nothing beyond human parameters." "And the victory was as hard-fought as the report suggests?" Naruto hesitated, then shook his head slightly. "I could have ended it immediately, but that would have created too many questions from both Utakata and potentially any Akatsuki surveillance. So I choreographed a plausible battle that ended with their defeat without revealing my true capabilities." Tsunade sighed, leaning back in her chair. "You're becoming quite the strategist, Naruto. Jiraiya's influence, I presume?" "Partly," Naruto acknowledged, "but mostly necessity. Every action creates ripples of consequence now. I can't just react based on immediate threats anymore." "A lesson many shinobi never fully grasp," Tsunade noted with approval. "Still, this pattern of independent action creates command and control issues. Your teammates need to trust that you'll function as part of the unit." "I know," Naruto agreed, genuine regret in his voice. "It's the hardest part, balancing what I can do with how I should operate within a team structure." "Something to work on," Tsunade concluded. "Now about these Akatsuki members, their bodies contain valuable intelligence. I'm authorizing a full analysis by our research division." The conversation shifted to tactical considerations, but the underlying tension remained. How long could Naruto maintain his careful balancing act between concealment and action? How many more fortunate victories would his teammates accept before demanding fuller explanations? The answer came sooner than expected, though not in the form anticipated. Reports arrived of a massive chakra disturbance near one of Orochimaru's suspected hideouts. Team Kakashi, supplemented by Team 8 for tracking capabilities, was dispatched to investigate potential Akatsuki involvement. What they discovered instead was the aftermath of Sasuke's confrontation with Orochimaru, the Sannin apparently defeated and absorbed by his intended vessel through some perversion of the transfer technique. Tracking Sasuke's team, now called Hebi, and including several of Orochimaru's former test subjects, led them through a series of confrontations that tested Naruto's restraint in new ways. The desire to simply appear beside his former teammate to end the chase through overwhelming speed and strength became nearly unbearable. Yet strategic considerations remained paramount. Sasuke had assembled his team specifically to help track and confront Itachi. Interfering prematurely might drive him further from potential reconciliation with Konoha, while allowing events to unfold might create an opportunity for Sasuke to achieve the closure he desperately sought regarding his clan's massacre. The dilemma crystallized when intelligence confirmed that Sasuke had indeed located and engaged Itachi. By the time Team Kakashi reached the Uchiha hideout where their battle occurred, they found only destruction and lingering chakra signatures. We're too late, Kiba announced, frustration evident. They're gone. Sasuke, Itachi, and some other powerful chakra signature that wasn't here before. Madara Uchiha, Kakashi identified grimly, or someone claiming that identity. Intelligence suggests he's working with Akatsuki. For Naruto, the situation represented a crucial juncture. Sasuke was potentially in the custody of the same organization, hunting Jinchuriki. The strategic approach would be to continue with the team, following protocol and operating within established parameters. But some bonds transcended strategic calculation. I need to find him, Naruto stated, his tone leaving no room for debate. Before Akatsuki does whatever they're planning, we'll track him together, Kakashi countered. As a team. There's no time, Naruto insisted. You know what they're capable of. You know what they want. Before Kakashi could respond, a new presence arrived, Jiraiya's toad messenger, bearing urgent news that changed everything. Jiraiya Boy has infiltrated Omegakure, the toad reported. He's confirmed the Akatsuki leader's location and identity, but communication has been compromised. He requested backup from Naruto specifically before contact was lost. The room fell silent as implications settled. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, potentially in mortal danger. Omegakure, the most secure and isolationist of hidden villages. And a specific request for Naruto, suggesting Jiraiya understood something about the situation that others didn't. This changes priorities, Tsunade announced, having joined the briefing upon the Toad's arrival. Sasuke's situation, while concerning, is secondary to the potential intelligence about Akatsuki leadership and Jiraiya's safety. Naruto stood frozen, torn between two imperatives, his bond with Sasuke and his loyalty to Jiraiya, the mentor who had helped him understand and control his extraordinary evolution. I'll go to Ame, he finally decided. Alone. It's what Jiraiya requested. Absolutely not, Tsunade countered. Omegakure is impenetrable even for our Anbu. Their rain-based surveillance system detects any unauthorized entry. If Jiraiya has been compromised despite his infiltration expertise, I can get in undetected, Naruto stated with quiet certainty, and I can get out the same way with Jiraiya. How? Kakashi challenged. Even at Jonin-level speed, the rain sensors would detect your chakra signature. Naruto met Tsunade's eyes, a silent question passing between them. She gave an almost imperceptible nod, permission to reveal more than he typically would. Because I can move faster than the rain can fall, Naruto said simply. Fast enough that the sensors won't register my presence until I'm already past them. The statement hung in the air, his teammates processing its implications. That's not possible, Sakura finally said. No one can move that fast. Not even the fourth Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique worked that way. Naruto has unique capabilities, Tsunade intervened carefully, developed during his training with Jiraiya, capabilities that have been deliberately downplayed for strategic reasons. Understanding dawned on Kakashi's face. The Akatsuki encounters, Gaara's rescue, even the Valley of the End with Sasuke, you've been holding back significantly, haven't you? Naruto nodded, relieved to acknowledge even this partial truth. Yes, for various reasons, some personal, some strategic. How fast are you exactly? Kiba asked, fascination overriding protocol. Fast enough, Naruto replied evasively, and strong enough to extract Jiraiya if he's in danger. But I need to go now, every minute might matter. Tsunade made the final decision. Go, but take this communication seal. Activate it the moment you have information or require extraction support. And Naruto, her expression softened slightly, bring him back. Within minutes, Naruto had departed, leaving behind confused teammates and a complex web of partial explanations that Tsunade would need to manage. Once beyond Konoha's borders and away from observation, he accelerated to his true speed, fast enough that the world around him seemed to slow nearly to stillness. Raindrops hung suspended in air as he passed through them. Birds appeared frozen mid-flight. The journey to Omegakure, normally requiring days, took just under an hour, at a pace that still represented only a fraction of his maximum velocity. The village's legendary rain barrier presented no obstacle. He moved through raindrops before they could register his chakra signature, appearing inside the village's central district without triggering alarms. Following Jiraiya's chakra trace led him to a battleground where evidence of a massive confrontation remained fresh. Blood pools that hadn't yet been washed away by rain. craters from powerful techniques, and most concerning, a trail leading toward a large body of water where Jiraiya's chakra signature faded abruptly. Naruto's enhanced senses detected what others would have missed: microscopic traces of chakra residue, indicating Jiraiya had continued fighting underwater before his signature disappeared entirely. Without hesitation, Naruto plunged into dark waters, his extraordinary vision adjusting to see what lay beneath. What he found sent ice through his veins. Jiraiya's body, motionless, multiple severe wounds visible, slowly sinking toward the depths. Moving with precision rather than panic, Naruto reached his mentor, carefully gathering his broken form before rocketing upward through the water. On a secluded rooftop, he assessed the damage: 5 critical wounds from what appeared to be chakra disruption rods, extensive internal damage, and rapidly failing life signs. "No," Naruto whispered, the word carrying all his desperation. "Not like this. Not you." In that moment, strategic considerations became secondary to the imminent loss of someone precious to him. Placing his hands on Jiraiya's chest, Naruto focused his extraordinary control over his own life force, a technique he had begun developing after assisting Chiyo in reviving Gaara. Unlike traditional medical ninjutsu, which accelerated natural healing processes through chakra manipulation, Naruto's approach was more direct, transferring aspects of his own extraordinary vitality directly into the damaged body, forcing cellular regeneration through sheer will and physical connection. "Come on," he urged, pouring more of himself into the technique. "You don't get to die before seeing me become Hokage. That was our deal." For agonizing minutes, nothing changed. Then, almost imperceptibly, Jiraiya's chest rose with a shallow breath. Color began returning to his ashen features. The wounds, while still severe, stopped their lethal progression as Naruto's transferred vitality countered the damage. Jiraiya's eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to recognition. "Naruto? How?" "Save your strength," Naruto instructed, relief washing through him. "We're getting out of here." "Wait." Jiraiya's voice was weak but urgent. "Information, critical. The leader, Pain, is Nagato. My former student, 6 bodies, 1 mind. The Rinnegan." "I'll come back for him," Naruto promised. "But right now, you're my priority." Gathering his mentor carefully, Naruto activated the communication seal Tsunade had provided, sending a brief coded message indicating extraction with critical injury. Then, cradling Jiraiya to minimize further damage, he accelerated once more, passing through Omegakure's rain barrier before the sensors could register his presence. The return journey to Konoha was taken at a more measured pace, balancing speed against the need to avoid jostling Jiraiya's injuries. Even so, they arrived at Konoha's gates less than 2 hours after Naruto's departure, a journey that should have taken days. The medical team waiting at the gates, alerted by Tsunade's preparations, immediately took charge of Jiraiya's care. As they rushed him to the hospital, Tsunade herself arrived, her expression shifting from professional assessment to personal shock as she saw her old teammate's condition. "He was underwater," Naruto explained quickly. "Multiple puncture wounds from some kind of chakra disruption rods. I did what I could to stabilize him, but it's beyond my capabilities to fully heal." Tsunade nodded sharply, professional mode engaging. "You got him here alive. That's what matters. I'll take it from here." As she departed with the medical team, Kakashi approached Naruto, noting his damp clothes and the strain evident in his expression. "You made it to Omegakure and back in less than 3 hours, he observed quietly. "With an injured Sannin in tow? That's well beyond unique capabilities, Naruto. That's something else entirely." Naruto sighed, too emotionally drained to maintain pretenses. "I know, and I'll explain to you, to the team, to whoever needs to know. But right now, you need to rest and process," Kakashi finished for him, understanding in his visible eye. "The explanations can wait. You brought Jiraiya home alive against impossible odds. That's enough for today." The aftermath of Jiraiya's rescue created ripples throughout Konoha's command structure. The intelligence he had gathered added about Pain, the Akatsuki leader's identity, abilities, and connection to the legendary Rinnegan prompted emergency strategic sessions and increased security protocols. For Naruto personally, the mission marked a turning point in his relationship with his own extraordinary capabilities. The careful balance he had maintained between concealment and action had shifted decisively when someone he loved faced death. Strategic considerations, while important, had proven secondary to the bonds that gave his abilities meaning and purpose. As Jiraiya recovered under Tsunade's expert care, Naruto spent hours at his bedside, reflecting on the lessons his mentor had taught him about restraint, wisdom, and the proper application of power. The irony wasn't lost on him. It had taken nearly losing Jiraiya to fully understand the most important lesson. That power without personal connection was merely capability without purpose. "You're thinking too loudly," Jiraiya commented one afternoon, his voice stronger as recovery progressed. "I can practically hear the gears grinding." Naruto smiled despite himself. "Just processing some things. About strength, purpose, the usual existential questions." "Ah," Jiraiya nodded knowingly. "The why do I have this power and what am I meant to do with it conundrum. The eternal question of those with extraordinary gifts." "Something like that," Naruto agreed. "When I found you in that lake, I didn't hesitate, didn't consider strategic implications or maintaining cover. I just acted. Because some bonds transcend calculation," Jiraiya replied simply. "That's not weakness, Naruto. That's humanity, the very thing that prevents power from becoming corruption." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent messenger. Tsunade required Naruto's immediate presence in the Hokage's office. The grave expression on the Chunin's face suggested this wasn't a routine summons. In Tsunade's office, Naruto found a crisis council assembled: Jonin commanders, Anbu captains, and key advisors. "We've received intelligence that pain is mobilizing," Tsunade announced without preamble. "All indicators suggest Konoha is his target, likely in retaliation for Jiraiya's infiltration and the information he obtained." The room tensed as implications settled. An attack by the Akatsuki leader, wielder of the legendary Rinnegan, represented an existential threat to the village. "Evacuation protocols are being initiated," Tsunade continued. "Non-combatants will be moved to the shelters immediately. All available shinobi are being recalled from missions. But even with full mobilization, we're facing an opponent of unprecedented capability." She turned to Naruto, her expression grave but resolute. "Which brings us to the question of your role in this defense, given what we now know about your true capabilities." All eyes in the room turned to Naruto, speculation and confusion evident among those not privy to the full scope of his evolution. "I think it's time for complete transparency within this command group," Tsunade decided. "Naruto, they need to understand exactly what you can do and what limitations might exist to properly integrate your capabilities into our defense strategy." Naruto nodded, understanding the necessity despite his ingrained habit of restraint. "Where should I begin?" "Perhaps," Kakashi suggested quietly, "with an honest assessment of your actual physical capabilities, without the limitations you've been operating under." Naruto took a deep breath, then provided the assembled leaders with something they had never expected to hear: the unvarnished truth about what he had become. The strength that could shatter mountains, the speed that made the world appear frozen in time, the durability that rendered most attacks meaningless. The silence that followed his disclosure was profound, broken finally by Shikaku Nara, Konoha's chief strategist. "If what you're describing is accurate," he said carefully, "you represent a military capability beyond anything in recorded history, beyond even the Sage of Six Paths, if legends are to be believed." "It's accurate," Tsunade confirmed. "I've conducted medical examinations personally. His cellular structure has evolved beyond normal human parameters in ways we still don't fully understand." "Then why?" Danzo Shimura asked, suspicion evident. "Has this capability been concealed from Konoha's leadership until now? Why operate at reduced capacity when such power could have served the village's interests?" "Because power without wisdom is merely destructive capacity," Naruto replied evenly, meeting the elder's gaze. "I needed to understand my abilities, to learn control and judgment before revealing their full extent. And because becoming a known quantity of that magnitude would have made me a priority target before I was prepared to handle the consequences." Danzo seemed unconvinced, but Shikaku nodded thoughtfully. "A strategically sound approach, if unconventional. The question now becomes, how do we deploy this capability against pain without exposing civilians to collateral damage?" The discussion shifted to tactical considerations. Pain's suspected abilities based on Jiraiya's intelligence, the logistics of evacuation, and contingency plans for various scenarios. Throughout, Naruto found himself treated not as a weapon to be aimed, but as a strategic partner whose input carried significant weight. As dawn approached, with Pain's attack potentially imminent, Tsunade made her final assessment. "Our primary objective is minimizing civilian casualties," she declared. "Our secondary objective is village preservation, and our tertiary objective is neutralizing the threat." Naruto's capabilities provide options for all three, but particularly for rapid response to emerging threats during the attack. The strategy took form. Conventional forces would handle evacuation and perimeter defense. Specialized units would target Pain's 6 bodies based on Jiraiya's intelligence about their distinct abilities. And Naruto would operate as a mobile response force, addressing critical threats as they emerged while minimizing collateral damage. As the council dispersed to implement their respective responsibilities, Tsunade held Naruto back for a final word. "This will change everything," she said quietly. "Once you act openly with your true capabilities, there's no returning to the shadows." "I know," Naruto nodded, a strange calm settling over him. "But maybe it's time. Maybe this is why I developed these abilities. For moments when restraint must give way to decisive action." "Just remember what makes you different from Pain," Tsunade cautioned. "It's not your power, it's your heart. Don't lose that in the heat of battle." With those words echoing in his mind, Naruto moved to his assigned position, prepared for what would undoubtedly become a pivotal moment not just in his life, but in the history of the shinobi world. What none of them could anticipate was how thoroughly Pain would challenge not just Konoha's defenses, but the very philosophical foundation upon which Naruto had built his understanding of power and its purpose. The attack came without warning, a massive summoning technique that bypassed Konoha's outer defensive barriers, manifesting multiple enormous creatures within the village proper. Simultaneously, 5 distinct figures appeared at strategic points throughout Konoha, each bearing the same ringed eyes and facial piercings that Jiraiya had described in his intelligence report. Pain had arrived, and with him, devastation unlike anything Konoha had experienced since the Nine-Tails attack 16 years earlier. Naruto, positioned atop the Hokage Tower with a clear view of the village, saw the first summons materialize, a giant rhinoceros that immediately began charging through a residential district, buildings crumbling in its wake. Without hesitation, he moved, accelerating to a speed that rendered the world around him nearly motionless. The distance between the tower and the rampaging summons, nearly half a kilometer, vanished in an instant. Naruto appeared before the creature, its massive horn suspended in its charge, moving centimeters per second from his perspective. With precise calculation, Naruto delivered a single punch, not at full strength, which might have created a shockwave damaging to nearby structures, but with exactly enough force to neutralize the threat without collateral damage. The rhinoceros disappeared in a puff of smoke, dispelled by the precise application of force to its physical form. To observers, it would have seemed as though the summons simply vanished, Naruto's movement too fast for ordinary eyes to track. Similar scenes played out across Konoha as Naruto systematically eliminated Pain's summoned creatures. A massive ox, a multi-headed dog, a bird of prey large enough to carry buildings in its talons. Each disappeared with surgical precision, Naruto's intervention so rapid that many civilians weren't even aware of the threats before they were neutralized. The 6 paths of Pain, however, presented more complex challenges. Each possessed unique abilities derived from the Rinnegan, and simply overwhelming them with physical force might not address the controlling consciousness behind them. As Naruto confronted the Deva Path, Pain's primary body with gravitational manipulation abilities, he found his opponent oddly unperturbed by the neutralization of the summoned beasts. "Interesting," Pain observed, his ringed eyes studying Naruto with clinical detachment. "Your speed exceeds reports. The Nine-Tails power manifests uniquely in you." "It's not the Nine-Tails," Naruto replied, maintaining a ready stance. "This is something else entirely." "Regardless of source, power without purpose is meaningless," Pain stated. "What purpose drives your strength, Naruto Uzumaki?" The philosophical challenge caught Naruto off guard. Not because he lacked an answer, but because it echoed his own internal questions too closely for comfort. Before he could respond, Pain extended his hand. Shinra Tensei. The gravitational repulsion technique erupted outward with devastating force, intended to flatten everything within its range. Naruto, however, remained unmoved, his transformed physiology allowing him to resist forces that would pulverize ordinary matter. Pain's ringed eyes widened slightly, the first indication of surprise from the otherwise emotionless figure. Impossible. Not impossible, Naruto corrected, closing the distance between them with controlled speed, just beyond normal parameters. What followed was not the simple domination that Naruto's physical capabilities might have suggested. Pain's Rinnegan techniques operated on fundamental principles that challenged even Naruto's extraordinary evolution. The Deva Path's gravitational manipulation, the Prita Path's ability to absorb chakra, the Naraka Path's interrogation and restoration capabilities, each presented unique challenges that couldn't be overcome through brute force alone. Throughout Konoha, Anbu and Jonin forces engaged the remaining paths while evacuation continued. Casualties mounted despite Naruto's interventions, Pain's coordinated assault proving devastatingly effective even with Naruto neutralizing the most immediate threats. The confrontation reached its crescendo when Pain, recognizing the threat Naruto posed, executed his most devastating technique, a massive Shinra Tensei centered on himself but expanded to encompass the entire village. This world shall know pain, he intoned, channeling power through the Deva Path unlike anything previously displayed. Naruto, sensing the building energy, made a split-second decision. Rather than attempting to stop Pain directly, he accelerated to its maximum speed, moving throughout the village faster than human perception could track. In the frozen moment before Pain's technique released, Naruto systematically evacuated every person he could reach, civilians, injured shinobi, children, carrying them beyond the technique's projected range. When Pain's ultimate Shinra Tensei detonated, much of Konoha's physical infrastructure was obliterated. Buildings collapsed, streets cratered, generations of construction reduced to rubble in seconds. But the human cost was a fraction of what it might have been, thanks to Naruto's extraordinary intervention. In the aftermath, standing in the center of a perfectly circular crater that had once been the heart of Konoha, Naruto faced Pain with new resolve. The philosophical debate about power and purpose had been answered not through words but through action. Naruto's strength dedicated to preservation of life rather than dominance or destruction. Impressive, Pain acknowledged. The Deva Path temporarily weakened by the massive technique. You prioritize lives over infrastructure, a revealing choice. Because buildings can be rebuilt, Naruto replied, lives cannot be replaced. A comforting platitude, Pain countered. But false. All things are replaceable in the greater cycle. Individual lives matter little against the arc of history. If you truly believe that, Naruto challenged, you wouldn't be pursuing your current path. Something drives you, Nagato, something personal, not philosophical. The use of his true name visibly affected Pain, the Deva Path's expression shifting subtly. Jiraiya-sensei told you more than I anticipated. Enough to know you were once his student, enough to know there's a person behind these paths, someone who experienced pain firsthand rather than merely inflicting it. With Pain's techniques temporarily depleted, Naruto made his decision. Rather than continuing to battle the six paths, mere proxies for the true consciousness controlling them, he would confront Nagato directly. Using the chakra connection between the paths as a tracer, Naruto followed the signal to its source, a hidden location on the outskirts of Konoha where Nagato's true body resided, emaciated and connected to a mechanical chair that sustained and amplified his abilities. Beside him stood Konan, her expression shifting from shock to protective determination as Naruto appeared without warning. How did you? She began, paper weapons forming around her. I followed the chakra connection, Naruto explained calmly, making no aggressive movement. I'm not here to attack. I'm here to understand. Nagato, his actual body bearing the same ringed eyes as his six paths but appearing frail and withered, studied Naruto with intense scrutiny. Understanding requires experiencing the same pain. You cannot comprehend my path without sharing my suffering. Then show me, Naruto challenged, not through combat, but through honesty. What transformed Jiraiya's hopeful student into the leader of Akatsuki? What pain drives your pursuit of the tailed beasts? What followed was a revelation. Nagato's history of loss and suffering during the wars that had ravaged the smaller nations caught between the great powers, the death of his parents before his eyes, the awakening of the Rinnegan through trauma, the formation and betrayal of the original Akatsuki, the loss of his friend Yahiko, which had crystallized his belief that peace could only come through shared pain. The great nations speak of peace while building weapons, Nagato concluded. They preach cooperation while maneuvering for advantage. True peace can only emerge when all have experienced the same devastating pain, when none can deny the necessity of ending the cycle. And your solution is to create a weapon so terrible that all nations will be forced to cooperate out of fear? Naruto asked, understanding dawning. Precisely, Nagato confirmed. The tailed beasts combined create a force that no single nation can resist. Under the shadow of such power, petty conflicts become meaningless. Peace maintained through fear isn't peace at all, Naruto countered. It's just a different kind of prison. Idealistic words from someone who has never watched their family slaughtered for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Nagato replied bitterly. What alternative do you propose? More empty promises from the great nations? More temporary alliances until advantage can be gained? Instead of immediately answering, Naruto did something unexpected. He knelt before Nagato, placing his hand on the withered man's arm. I can't change your past, he said quietly, but I can show you something different for the future. With careful precision, Naruto channeled a fraction of his extraordinary vitality into Nagato, not to heal him completely, which might have seemed threatening, but enough to ease his constant pain and demonstrate a transfer of strength freely given rather than taken. What are you doing? Conan asked, confused by the gentle gesture when she had expected combat. Showing another path, Naruto replied. Strength shared rather than imposed. Connection rather than coercion. Nagato's expression shifted as the constant pain that had been his companion for decades eased slightly. This technique, it's not medical ninjutsu. No, Naruto confirmed. It's something else, something I'm still learning to understand myself. But it represents what I believe, that true strength comes from building others up, not controlling them through fear. The conversation that followed transcended the tactical situation. Two individuals of extraordinary capability discussing fundamental questions about power, purpose, and the possibility of peace in a world defined by conflict. Naruto shared Jiraiya's original vision, not a world without pain, but a world where people chose cooperation despite having experienced suffering. He believed in you, Naruto told Nagato. Even knowing what you'd become, he still spoke of his students with pride and hope. He believed one of you would find the answer he couldn't. And you think you have this answer? Nagato asked skeptically. No, Naruto admitted. I'm still searching too, but I know it doesn't lie in forcing others to experience pain. It lies in choosing connection despite having experienced pain. As their philosophical exchange continued, reports reached them of the other paths of pain being systematically neutralized by Konoha's forces, their effectiveness dramatically reduced once Nagato's focus shifted to the conversation with Naruto. Eventually, Nagato made a decision that surprised both Conan and Naruto. Perhaps there is merit in exploring an alternative approach, not abandoning the goal of peace, but reconsidering the methodology. The first step, Naruto suggested, might be returning what was taken, as a gesture of different intentions. Understanding the implication, Nagato nodded slowly. The technique will consume what remains of my life force, but perhaps that is appropriate, one final act to balance the scales. Despite Conan's protests, Nagato performed the outer path, samsara of heavenly life technique, sacrificing his remaining vitality to restore those who had died during his assault on Konoha. Throughout the village, the recently deceased returned to life, shinobi who had fallen defending civilians, medics who had been caught in structural collapses, children who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. As the technique completed, Nagato's already frail body deteriorated rapidly. In his final moments, he looked at Naruto with new understanding. Your path is different from what I expected, he acknowledged. Perhaps Jiraiya-sensei was right to place his faith in the next generation. With those words, Nagato passed, leaving Konan to manage the aftermath, and Naruto to reconcile the philosophical implications of their exchange. The recovery period following Pain's assault marked a transformative phase for both Konoha and Naruto personally. The physical village could be rebuilt, and was, with extraordinary efficiency, thanks to Naruto's capabilities, being openly employed in reconstruction efforts. More complex was the psychological and strategic shift created by the public revelation of those capabilities. In the weeks that followed, as buildings rose and systems were restored, Naruto found himself navigating a new reality, one where his extraordinary evolution was known and acknowledged rather than concealed. The change brought both benefits and complications. Allied nations sent diplomatic inquiries, some transparent in their desire to understand the full scope of Konoha's newly revealed military asset. The civilian population regarded Naruto with a mixture of awe, gratitude, and the wary respect afforded to natural forces rather than people. And within the shinobi ranks, training sessions with Naruto became simultaneously coveted for the learning opportunity and avoided for the inevitable reminder of the unbridgeable capability gap. Through it all, Naruto worked to maintain his essential humanity, participating in reconstruction alongside ordinary citizens, continuing his ramen visits at Ichiraku, and especially maintaining his close bonds with friends who had known him before his transformation. 6 months after Pain's attack, as Konoha neared completion of its physical recovery, a new threat emerged that would challenge not just Naruto's extraordinary capabilities, but the entire shinobi world's conception of alliance and cooperation. Intelligence from multiple sources confirmed what Jiraiya and Pain had separately warned about. Madara Uchiha, or someone using that identity, had accelerated the Akatsuki's plans following Nagato's defection and death. The remaining tailed beasts were being hunted with renewed determination, and a new technology had been discovered that could potentially extract and utilize their chakra without requiring living Jinchuriki. More concerning were reports of a massive army of artificial humanoids being created. White Zetsu clones with capabilities that mimic shinobi techniques while operating as a unified force rather than individual combatants. The threat transcended traditional village rivalries, leading to unprecedented cooperation between nations that had been enemies for generations. The formation of the allied shinobi forces represented a historical pivot point, the first time all 5 great nations had united against a common enemy. For Naruto, the developing Fourth Great Ninja War presented a complex challenge beyond simply confronting enemies. His revealed capabilities made him simultaneously the Alliance's greatest asset and a strategic vulnerability. Madara's plans specifically required the Nine Tails, making Naruto a primary target despite his extraordinary evolution. When the Five-Cog Summit convened to establish command structures for the Allied forces, Tsunade brought Naruto as part of Konoha's delegation, a decision that initially created tension among the other leaders. A Jinchuriki should not be on the front lines, the Raikage insisted during strategic planning. Regardless of his individual capabilities, he represents a strategic resource that Madara seeks to capture. Naruto is not merely a Jinchuriki, Tsunade countered. His physical evolution has transcended that classification. The Nine Tails is now arguably the lesser of his power sources. All the more reason to keep him secured, the Tsuchikage argued. If his capabilities are as extraordinary as reported, he represents a military asset too valuable to risk in direct confrontation. Throughout this discussion, Naruto remained uncharacteristically silent, allowing the strategic debate to unfold while observing the complex political dynamics at play. When finally asked for his perspective, his response surprised many of the assembled leaders. "I understand the strategic considerations," he acknowledged, "but there's a fundamental error in your calculation. You're thinking about how to use my capabilities most effectively against Madara's forces. The real question is how to ensure those forces never engage our main army in the first place." "Explain," Gaara prompted, having maintained thoughtful silence during the preceding debate. "My speed and sensory capabilities allow me to locate and neutralize threats before they reach our formations," Naruto elaborated. Rather than positioning me as a conventional asset within the command structure, consider me a preventative measure, identifying and eliminating threats before they can inflict casualties on our main force. The strategic implications of this approach shifted the conversation dramatically. Rather than debating Naruto's presence on the battlefield as a resource to be protected, the Kage began considering how his unique capabilities could fundamentally alter the nature of the conflict itself. The resulting strategy represented a revolution in large-scale military planning. Conventional forces would establish defensive positions, protecting critical infrastructure and civilian populations. Specialized strike teams would target identified enemy leadership when opportunities arose. And Naruto would operate as a semi-autonomous response force, addressing emerging threats based on real-time intelligence and his own extraordinary sensory capabilities. As the Allied shinobi forces deployed according to this strategy, Naruto found himself in an unexpected position, not fighting alongside comrades as he had always imagined, but operating largely alone, his incredible speed allowing him to cover vast distances and address multiple threats across different battlefields. The emotional weight of this role became apparent during the war's first major engagement. Naruto, responding to reports of a white Zetsu infiltration unit targeting a medical camp, arrived to find carnage already unfolding. The artificial beings had penetrated defenses by mimicking allied shinobi chakra signatures, creating confusion that delayed effective response. Moving with precision that rendered the world around him nearly motionless, Naruto systematically eliminated the infiltrators, each neutralized with exactly the necessary force, no more and no less. To observers, it appeared as though the Zetsu clones simply disintegrated in sequence, Naruto's movements too rapid for normal perception to track. When the threat was neutralized, however, Naruto faced something his extraordinary physical capabilities couldn't address: the psychological impact of the attack on the survivors. Medical ninja who had witnessed colleagues killed by enemies wearing familiar faces. Injured shinobi whose trust in their protective systems had been shattered. The damage extended beyond physical wounds to the cohesion and morale that sustained the alliance itself. Standing amid the aftermath, Naruto realized that victory required more than simply eliminating enemies. It required healing the psychological wounds inflicted by warfare, restoring trust, rebuilding confidence, maintaining the human connections that gave their struggle meaning. In that moment, he made a decision that would alter his approach throughout the remainder of the conflict. Rather than departing immediately for the next reported threat, he remained, helping treat the injured, assisting with rebuilding defenses, and most importantly, listening to the experiences of those who had faced the attack. This pattern repeated across numerous engagements as the war progressed. Naruto's extraordinary capabilities allowed him to neutralize threats with unprecedented efficiency, but he increasingly recognized that his true contribution lay in what came after, helping rebuild, restore, and reconnect in the aftermath of violence. The approach paid unexpected dividends when Madara's forces began deploying reanimated shinobi through Kabuto's Edo Tensei technique. These resurrected warriors, many legendary figures with unique abilities, presented challenges beyond simple physical confrontation. Their undying bodies meant victory required sealing rather than destruction, and their retained personalities created psychological warfare as allies faced former friends and mentors on the battlefield. For Naruto, these encounters became opportunities to connect with shinobi history in unprecedented ways, learning from legends even as he worked to neutralize the threat they presented. From Zabuza and Haku, redeployed as unwilling weapons, he gained insights into the evolution of Kirigakure's approaches to combat. From former Kage resurrected to battle their successors, he absorbed strategic wisdom that transcended village boundaries. Most significant was his encounter with his own parents, Minato and Kushina Uzumaki, briefly returned through a combination of Edo Tensei and the chakra imprints they had sealed within him before their deaths. Though occurring amid battlefield chaos, their reunion provided Naruto with context and perspective that had been missing throughout his development. "Your strength isn't what makes you exceptional," Kushina told him during their all-too-brief interaction. "It's your heart, your capacity to care deeply despite having every reason to become hardened by experience. The evolution you've undergone is unprecedented, Minato added, his analytical mind having quickly assessed his son's extraordinary capabilities. But more impressive is how you've integrated that power into a coherent philosophy, strength in service to others rather than domination. These encounters, emotional though they were, provided crucial perspective as Naruto faced the war's ultimate challenge, confrontation with Madara Uchiha and his partner Obito, who had been manipulating events from behind the scenes for decades. When the full extent of their plan was revealed, the infinite Tsukuyomi, designed to trap all humanity in a perfect illusion, Naruto recognized that even his extraordinary physical capabilities might not be sufficient. The technique operated on fundamental principles that transcended conventional combat, potentially bypassing physical resistance through direct chakra manipulation. The final confrontation brought together all the lessons Naruto had accumulated throughout his journey. Facing Madara and Obito at the peak of their power, with the Ten Tails partially manifested and the divine tree beginning to extend its reach across the battlefield, Naruto made a crucial realization. This isn't about who's strongest, he told Sasuke, who had joined the Allied forces after his own complex journey of discovery. It's about understanding what strength is for. Together with Sasuke, whose Sharingan had evolved to its highest form, and the remnants of the Allied forces who had survived to this final confrontation, Naruto implemented a strategy that relied not on overwhelming force, but on precise application of complementary abilities. While Sasuke's visual prowess disrupted the chakra network sustaining the divine tree, Naruto engaged Madara and Obito directly, not with his full destructive capability, which might have destabilized the very reality they were fighting to protect, but with precisely calculated interventions that created openings for allied specialists to target specific vulnerabilities. The battle transcended conventional combat, becoming almost philosophical in its execution, each side representing fundamentally different conceptions of how power should function in the world. Madara and Obito sought control through overwhelming force, imposing their vision regardless of others' consent. Naruto and the Allied forces fought for the principle of choice, the right of individuals to determine their own reality, even if imperfect. In the battle's climactic moment, when Madara had absorbed the Ten Tails and manifested the Rinnegan in both eyes, preparing to cast the infinite Tsukuyomi across the entire world, Naruto faced his greatest challenge. His extraordinary physical evolution had prepared him for conventional threats, but this technique operated on principles that potentially transcended physical resistance. The solution came not through greater force, but through deeper understanding. Drawing upon Kurama's ancient knowledge, insights from the reanimated Hokage, and his own intuitive grasp of fundamental energies, Naruto developed a counter technique, not to match Madara's power, but to disrupt the specific frequencies that allowed the infinite Tsukuyomi to bridge between physical reality and mental perception. The resulting confrontation manifested not as a traditional exchange of techniques, but as a direct contest of will expressed through chakra manipulation. Madara, with the full power of the Ten Tails and both Rinnegan, represented perhaps the most formidable concentration of conventional power in shinobi history. Naruto, with his uniquely evolved physiology and deeply integrated partnership with Kurama, embodied a different kind of capability. Not greater raw power, but more precise application and clearer purpose. When the struggle concluded, it was not overwhelming force that determined the outcome, but conviction expressed through technique. Naruto's countermeasure disrupted the infinite Tsukuyomi at its foundational level, creating vulnerabilities that allowed Sasuke's Rinnegan-enhanced Genjutsu to penetrate Madara's defenses and break the technique's propagation. The aftermath brought both resolution and new beginnings. Madara, his ultimate technique thwarted, and his conviction shaken by the revelation of how thoroughly he had been manipulated by Black Zetsu throughout his extended life, found himself confronting the hollowness of a vision based on control rather than connection. Obito, whose path had diverged from Madara's through direct exposure to Naruto's philosophy and approach, made the ultimate sacrifice, using his remaining life force to help seal away the Ten Tails and neutralize the threat of the Divine Tree's continued expansion. As the Fourth Great Ninja War concluded, with casualties far lower than any had dared hope thanks to Naruto's extraordinary interventions, the shinobi world faced a pivotal question: how to build a lasting peace from the foundation of unprecedented cooperation that the conflict had forged. For Naruto personally, the war's end brought both validation and new challenges. His approach, power guided by wisdom, strength and service to others, had proven effective not just in combat, but in preserving the values and connections that gave that combat meaning. Yet the very success of that approach created its own complications, a reputation and capability gap that potentially isolated him from the very human connections he fought to protect. The resolution came through a conversation with Sasuke as they sat beside a campfire in the war's immediate aftermath, both contemplating their respective paths forward. "You know," Sasuke observed, studying the flames, "there was a time when I envied your strength, when I believed power was the measure of a shinobi's worth. And now?" Naruto prompted. "Now I understand that strength without purpose is merely capability," Sasuke replied, echoing what Naruto himself had learned years earlier. "What makes you exceptional isn't how hard you can hit, but what you choose to protect with that strength." "Coming from you, that's quite the admission," Naruto smiled. "Don't get used to it," Sasuke retorted, a hint of his old arrogance returning. "I still intend to challenge you, not to prove who's stronger, but to ensure we both remember why strength matters in the first place." The exchange crystallized something Naruto had been working toward throughout his journey. Not the acknowledgement of his capabilities, but the recognition that those capabilities derived their meaning from the connections and principles they protected. As the shinobi world began its transition from wartime alliance to peacetime cooperation, Naruto found his role evolving as well. Rather than operating as a military asset defined by extraordinary combat potential, he increasingly functioned as a bridge between communities, traditions, and perspectives, using his unique position to facilitate understanding where historical rivalries might otherwise prevail. The path toward becoming Hokage, once a distant dream motivated by desire for acknowledgement, now lay clear before him, not because of his overwhelming strength, but because of how he had learned to apply that strength in service to something greater than himself. What had begun with a simple training regimen, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run, had evolved into something far more profound, a philosophy of power as responsibility, strength as service, and capability as commitment to others. The true strength of Konoha, Naruto had discovered, lay not in individual ability, but in collective purpose, the shared will to build something that transcended personal ambition or village boundaries. His extraordinary evolution had prepared him not simply to fight extraordinary battles, but to help shape an extraordinary peace. And in that realization, Naruto found the answer to the question that had haunted him since his transformation began: the purpose of overwhelming strength in a world where most challenges couldn't be solved through physical force alone. The purpose was not to dominate, but to protect, not to control, but to connect, not to impose one's will, but to create space for many wills to find common ground. As he looked toward Konoha from atop the Hokage monument, Naruto understood that his journey had come full circle, from a child desperate for acknowledgement to a young man whose greatest strength lay not in his extraordinary physical capabilities, but in his unwavering commitment to the bonds that gave those capabilities meaning. The village below, rebuilt and renewed, represented not just structures and systems, but shared purpose and collective resilience. Naruto's role, whether as future Hokage or simply as one who had been granted extraordinary capabilities, was to nurture and protect that resilience. Not through overwhelming force, but through the wisdom to know when force was necessary and when other approaches would better serve their shared objectives. With that understanding firmly established, Naruto turned from the monument and descended toward the village, ready to continue the work of building peace, not through power alone, but through the connections that gave power purpose. 5 years after the conclusion of the Fourth Great Ninja War, Konoha hosted an unprecedented gathering, representatives from all 5 great shinobi nations and numerous smaller villages, assembled not for strategic planning or crisis management, but for a ceremony installing Naruto Uzumaki as the 7th Hokage. Tsunade, who had remained in the position longer than originally intended to guide the post-war transition, stood proudly beside her successor as he prepared to accept the ceremonial hat and robe. "Are you nervous?" she asked quietly, noting his uncharacteristic stillness. "Not about the responsibility," Naruto replied honestly. "More about finding the right balance. Being Hokage means being both accessible and authoritative, both ordinary and exceptional. A balance you've been practicing for years," Tsunade reminded him, "even before your capabilities were publicly known." The ceremony itself reflected Naruto's approach to leadership, less formal than tradition might have dictated, more inclusive than protocol required. Representatives from every segment of Konoha's population participated, from academy students to elder council members, civilian craftspeople to Anbu captains. As Naruto accepted the ceremonial hat from Tsunade, his address to the assembled crowd and dignitaries focused not on power or position, but on connection and collective purpose. The true strength of Konoha, of any village, any nation, lies not in individual capability, but in shared commitment, he stated, his voice carrying easily without artificial amplification. "My journey taught me that even extraordinary power derives its meaning from what it protects, what it nurtures, what it builds, rather than what it dominates." From the diplomatic section, Gaara, still Kazekage and now one of Naruto's closest allies among foreign leaders, nodded in quiet approval. Beside him, other Kajin diplomatic representatives reflected on the extraordinary evolution of the once unpredictable Jinchuriki into the thoughtful leader now addressing them. "The challenges we face moving forward cannot be overcome through strength alone," Naruto continued. "They require wisdom, patience, and above all, connection across boundaries that once seemed impenetrable. The peace we've built from the foundation of shared struggle must now be maintained through shared purpose." As the ceremony concluded and transitioned to less formal celebrations, Naruto found moments to connect individually with key figures who had shaped his journey, a practice he had developed to maintain personal connections despite his increasingly public role. With Sasuke, who had returned to Konoha for the ceremony despite his ongoing independent missions, Naruto shared a quiet moment atop the Hokage monument. "So," Sasuke observed with characteristic directness, "the dead last finally achieved his dream." "Parts of it," Naruto acknowledged with a smile, "though not quite as I imagined as a child." "Few things turn out exactly as we envision," Sasuke replied, a hint of his own reflection evident. "The important question is whether the reality serves the essential purpose, even if the form differs from the original conception." "When did you become so philosophical?" Naruto teased. "Around the same time you developed impulse control," Sasuke retorted dryly. Their comfortable exchange represented one of Naruto's most valued achievements, not the restoration of a friendship, but its evolution into something deeper, a partnership based on complementary strengths rather than competitive rivalry. With Sakura, now head of Konoha's medical program and a formidable diplomatic force in her own right, Naruto discussed the ongoing integration of medical protocols across village boundaries, a project she had championed that embodied the practical implementation of post-war cooperation. "The standardization of emergency treatments alone has saved hundreds of lives," she reported enthusiastically. "When shinobi from different villages can work together seamlessly during crises, traditional boundaries become less relevant." "Exactly the kind of change we need," Naruto agreed. "Not eliminating differences, but finding ways to make them complementary rather than divisive." Their professional discussion reflected how thoroughly their relationship had evolved, from childhood crush and casual teammates to respected colleagues with shared vision but distinct contributions. With Kakashi, recently retired from active duty but still involved in specialized training programs, Naruto found a moment to express gratitude that transcended their formal teacher-student relationship. "You knew, didn't you?" Naruto asked. "Even before I fully revealed my capabilities, you suspected something extraordinary had happened during my training." "I had my theories," Kakashi admitted with his characteristic eye smile, "though the reality exceeded even my most extravagant speculations. What gave me away? Little things, Naruto replied. The way you positioned me in formations, the missions you selected for our team, the subtle tests of my limitations that seemed coincidental but showed patterns over time. A shinobi looks underneath the underneath, Kakashi quoted his own longtime teaching, though in your case what lay beneath was more extraordinary than anyone could have anticipated. As evening approached and the formal celebrations transitioned to community gatherings throughout Konoha, Naruto found himself drawn to a quiet corner of the village, the swing outside the academy where he had once sat alone, watching others celebrate achievements he couldn't share. Kurama, now more partner than prisoner, stirred within their shared consciousness. Nostalgic? The fox inquired with characteristic directness. A little, Naruto acknowledged internally, though not for the loneliness, just for the simplicity. Before the training, before the transformation, when becoming Hokage was a dream about being acknowledged rather than a responsibility to acknowledge others. You could have taken this position years ago, Kurama observed. Your capabilities would have allowed you to simply claim it, had you wished. That would have missed the entire point, Naruto replied. It was never about having the position, it was about earning it, about becoming someone worthy of the responsibility, not just capable of claiming the title. Their internal dialogue was interrupted by the approach of several academy students, their expressions shifting from curiosity to awe as they recognized the new Hokage sitting alone on the simple swing. Lord Seventh, the boldest among them exclaimed. Why are you here instead of at the celebrations? Naruto smiled, deliberately shifting his demeanor from contemplative to approachable. Sometimes it's good to remember where your journey began to appreciate how far you've come. Is it true, another student asked hesitantly, that you failed the graduation exam 3 times? Absolutely true, Naruto confirmed without hesitation. My path wasn't direct or easy, but each setback taught me something essential that I might have missed otherwise. And is it true that you're strong enough to move mountains? A third student inquired, eyes wide with the exaggerated stories that had inevitably developed around Naruto's capabilities. At this, Naruto's expression grew more thoughtful. Physical strength is just one kind of capability, he replied carefully. And not always the most important kind. The strength to persevere when discouraged, to stand up for others when it's difficult, to admit mistakes and learn from them. Those forms of strength matter more in daily life than any physical capability. The students absorbed this perspective with varying degrees of comprehension, their young minds still naturally drawn to dramatic displays rather than subtle principles. Recognizing this, Naruto shifted approach. Though, he added with a conspiratorial wink, if you complete your academy training and become Genin, perhaps someday I'll show you what's possible when determination meets opportunity. This compromise, acknowledging their natural curiosity while redirecting toward constructive goals, satisfied the young students, who departed with renewed enthusiasm for their studies and training. Alone again, Naruto rose from the swing and began walking toward the Hokage residence, where administrative responsibilities awaited even on this ceremonial day. The village around him hummed with life and activity, citizens and visitors alike celebrating not just his installation as Hokage, but the continuing peace that made such celebrations possible. As he walked, Naruto reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point, from the accidental discovery of extraordinary physical evolution through his training regimen, through the careful concealment and strategic application of those capabilities, to the eventual public revelation and integration of his full potential into service to something greater than himself. The true lesson he had discovered wasn't about the limits or applications of physical power. It was about the purpose that gave that power meaning, the connections, principles, and aspirations that transform mere capability into meaningful contribution. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run had changed his body beyond recognition. But it was the experiences that followed, the choices, relationships, and responsibilities that had transformed his understanding of what strength truly meant. As Naruto Uzumaki, 7th Hokage of Konohagakure, entered his official residence to begin the work that lay ahead, He carried with him not just extraordinary physical capabilities, but the wisdom to know that true strength lay not in domination, but in service. Not in standing above others, but in lifting them up. Not in being acknowledged for power, but in using power to acknowledge the value in every life touched by his influence. And in that understanding, hard-won through experience rather than granted through transformation, lay the true measure of his strength.
And that's how Naruto's journey would completely change with Saitama's incredible power. What did you think of this mind-blowing concept? Did we miss any epic moments you'd want to see? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this crazy crossover idea, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell for more epic anime what-if scenarios. See you in the next one.